Salut YouTube, début du chapitre 6 d'UMINEKO. On a fini le chapitre 5 hier, c'était exceptionnel. J'essaye de voir un petit peu où ça commence à aller. Et j'ai très peur pour la suite, sachez-le. On va partir direct, hein. Hop, tac. Je vais mettre le Summer Game Fest à côté. Et on est qui part. Pouf. Alors du coup, l'épisode 6, Down of the Golden Witch. Oh. C'est pas Checkmate of the Golden Witch, comme avait voulu le faire Erika. Good morning. Now the curtain shall finally rise on a game presented by that Battle-sama. The Battle-sama managed to successfully and spectacularly defeat the enormous Hollow Game Master. Let us bear witness to this fight from the opposite side of the chessboard. There is no longer a difficulty level, there is no longer a hint, but a confession. Oh. Oh oh. Eh ben allons-y. Bien évidemment, comme à chaque début d'épisode. Wow, wow, wow. Ça commence direct. A beautiful glow shone in front of the skylight of the Grand Cathedral. The place was somehow different from the way it had been during the witch's trial. Bah, pas tant remis, Kara, mais y a pas le choix, il faut charbonner, donc Et yo d'ailleurs. Là, je voulais lancer un truc pour avoir des hints des premiers chapitres, mais je me dis que bon, je verrai plus tard au pire, c'est pas grave. Peut-être après le chapitre 6. The place was somehow different from the way it had been during the witch's trial. The decoration had changed. The several pleasantly sparkling white ribbons that adorned it were thin like razors, but they trailed beautifully in the air. Flowers arranged all over in a way that would make any place look cheerful. It was like how a single drop of impure water can spoil an entire cask of wine. Just the presence of those flowers, those ribbons, and the red carpet that ran down the center of the room made it hard to believe that this was the same place Ushumi and Natsui had been falsely accused of a crime. It had truly become a wedding chapel. What? Putain, d'accord, d'accord. Alors, on va pas faire les étonnés. Qui est cette personne? Bon. Est-ce qu'on va toujours nous introduire des persos jusqu'au chapitre 8? C'est genre... C'est Smash Bros là. Love is generous, love is merciful. Love does not envy, it does not boast. These words spoken by two demons who seem to be in charge of this gathering are part of a ceremony for making an oath of love before the eyes of God. Of course, in this wedding celebrated by demons, there was no priest in sight. Instead, there stood the witch who controls miracles. In sickness and in health. Yeah, a wife's true job is to be supportive in times of sickness. Isn't that right, Erika? Hein? Attends. Pourquoi tous les débuts de chapitre sont irréels comme ça, genre? Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Pourquoi tous les débuts de chapitre, c'est des trucs, c'est n'importe quoi? Yes, my master. That looks good on you. What a fitting outfit for one who has conquered the the bridegroom. I'm honored, my master. The bride standing on the carpeted path was through to Erika. The groom's face couldn't be seen. Me dis pas, je vais péter un plomb. Me dis pas que c'est ce que je pense, je vais péter un plomb. C'est pas grave. Her bride's outfit certainly was a pure white wedding dress. Tu penses que c'est ce que je pense? Bah j'espère pas, moi aussi. J'espère pas que c'est ce que je pense. Her veil represented both the white of God's blessings and the white for demon's cruelty. A great many good nobles, witches and demons were gathered for this wedding. If only their head hadn't been those of goats. It would probably have seemed a very refined crowd worthy of this great cathedral. I'd expect no less of you, Baron. The stuff you manage to think up is always so twisted. A wife supporting a hailing husband. Isn't that a lovely story? It suits you well, Erika. And congratulations to you too, Mr. Groom. At that point, Berncastle stared straight into the groom's eyes. The groom didn't answer. His eyes were grey. His lips would mutter something from time to time, but no one could tell if the words meant anything. No. 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 Nope. Non. Je le vois venir. Non. Hey, are you listening, you people? She spoke to the groom in the plural. Of course, there was only one groom, and of course the grey-eyed groom didn't answer. So even though you can hear her, you can't answer. Don't worry, okay? C'était sûr, je vais me suicider, putain. Oh la 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 la. Ok. On peut pas se remettre de nos émotions 5 minutes entre deux chapitres, faut qu'il se passe toujours des folies. C'est quoi ce merdier? Bon. Ah, ça c'est drôle pour toi, Matermine, ça te fait rire, ça. Putain de merde. It's okay, I'll just take everything you are and trample it into the ground. The Witch of Miracles sneered with an evil smile that even a demon would shudder to look at. Even the sneer provoked no response from Battler's dim eyes. People live for the sake of love. Therefore today you have fulfilled the purpose of your lives. How great is the power to live the power of love. I pray that the brightness of this day blesses this too for all time. Just give it a rest already, you demons. What comes next? The couple will make an oath of eternal love. After that they will exchange rings. On Battler's hand was a ring bearing the seal of the one-winged eagle, proof that he was the territorial lord of this world. And on Erika's finger was a diamond ring that could not be shattered by any miracle. Diamonds signify an eternal bond. Parce que les diamants sont incassables. Faut l'avoir. However, in Greek, the word diamond simply means... Bah... Wouah, mais attendez. J'ai écrit le jeu, en fait. Soyez pas jaloux. Erika wasn't vowing to love Battler forever. She just wanted to rule over him as her eternal property. This wedding was being performed for the sole purpose of defeating Battler. Don't worry, I won't love you forever. After all, the point of the ceremony is to make you submit to me. Your heart will be shut inside an inescapable closed room forever, where I, through to Erika, the detective and the Witch of Truth, will command it. Your position as territory, lord, and your ring will become mine. Can't get... How was that? Can't get out. Yeah, I'll bet you can get out of that closed room. After all, you made it yourself. You'll suffer in that room for all eternity. And I remain by your side as your wife forever, hating to enjoy that look full of anguish on your face all by myself. Qu'est-ce qui se passe, putain? C'est encore un truc de fin de chapitre qu'on verra dans 20 heures, ça me... Vas-y, vas-y. I'll devour you forever. Wish you me a battler. Je vais me tirer une balle en direct, en fait. Un jour ou l'autre, hein. À cause de ce jeu. Oh là là. Allez, profitons de l'opening. Youhou. Je pense que je préférais l'opening des Question Arc, mais il est quand même excellent. C'est beau ça, mais on le verra jamais, je pense. Comment ne pas péter un plomb devant une intro pareille, genre? Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé pour qu'on en arrive là, en fait? Comment on en est arrivé là? Un peu la même question que le chapitre 5, finalement. Butler, il avait l'air invincible, frère. Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé, genre? All that could be heard was the sound of the wind. A sound of misfortune, bringing sadness and unease to all who heard it. Slowly, I came back to my senses. I finally regained consciousness on top of a bed with a firm mattress. Where was this again? I can't remember where this is, but I can vaguely recall that I must not remain here. J'ai Rokinjima. Bah c'est Rokinjima, what the fuck. Je m'étais spoil la cape. Tout va bien. Pour... Stylé avec la petite cape. The rules was dimly lit. C'est la cape de Kinzo, ouais. There was a light on, but that just made the darkness and eeriness of the room more apparent. There were no curtains over the windows, but it was too dark outside to see anything beyond it. If I squinted into that pitch blackness, it felt as though I could see the witch of the forest peeking back at me from the darkness, and I averted my gaze from the window in fear. I can't see or hear it, but I get the feeling that if I leave this room, it'll be bright and warm, and someone else will be there for me. I want to get to where everyone else is as soon as I can. Bad memories from when I was very young began to well up. Horrible, harsh memories of when I started dozing off during a family gathering and was put to sleep in some room I didn't know. I remember waking up there, incredibly lonely and sobbing. I must not remain in this room. I just want to get out of here quickly. Once that thought crossed my mind, I didn't want to stay in the room a second longer than I had to. Pourquoi il y a une ambiance de film d'horreur là? Direct. I'm scared. It's creepy. Where is everyone? I want to get out of here right now. I opened the door, trying to leave the room. A pleasant glow knocking through the crack of the door. As I thought, the corridor was filled with a confusing light. I couldn't actually hear them, but I could sense that far away people were enjoying themselves. I'm sure everyone's gathered in the room across from this one. I've been shut up in this lonely, creepy room all alone. I should go quickly. As soon as I thought this, a merciless metallic sound rang out and the door refused to open any further. The chain had been set. I've always hated chain locks. You can open a normal lock just by twisting, but chain locks are built in an annoying way and I couldn't work them easily, so I've hated them ever since I was very young. See, even this chain is causing me trouble and I just can't get it undone. Why is this happening? I just want to leave this creepy room right away. Just on the other side of this thin door, everything is based in one light. I can't undo it. I just can't undo this chain. The more desperate I grew, the more that unsettling darkness seemed to be closing in on my back, and the more frightened I became. Then I finally noticed there's something wrong with this chain. Yes, there is a chain, but there isn't a chain lock. It's just a chain stuck into the door, preventing it from opening any further. In other words, it isn't made to be opened. What the hell's going on? Who would do something like this, damn it? No matter what I did, no matter how much I struggled, I couldn't pull out the stake or undo the chain or break the mechanism. These doors were just a demon's mouth, made to trick me into thinking it would open before crushing my hopes. Even so, if I only could just open this door somehow, I could get onto the pleasant corridor. This desire forced me to keep my hand glued to the doorknob. But it was useless. Both the chain and the stake were firm, and no matter how much I cluttered them about, there was no chance of the door opening any further. Even though I could see the pleasant hallway through the crack, I had no chance of opening the door any further. Maybe someone will come if I yell. Maybe the door can be opened easily from the outside. When I thought this, I tried to call out someone, but I couldn't make the words come out. I couldn't mouth, "Someone come here!" but no voice left my lips. What's going on? Someone come! Why can't I cry out? Help me, help me, help me! The mere fact that I can say help me out loud is even scarier. If I turn around, the witch gazing into the room from the darkness outside might be inside the room this time, standing right behind me. Mais qu'est-ce qui se passe? I'm frightened, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. C'est pas censé être son jeu à la base? Genre, qu'est-ce qui se passe là? Someone help me. Someone help me. I can't get out. Can't get out. Let me out of this room. Help me, I'm scared. I'm scared. Let me out, let me out. Let me, help me. Vraiment une ambiance film d'horreur là. Hein. It sounds like they've arrived, lady. Huh? Oh. Amakusa ran his finger down my cheek. In an instant, I awoke from the doze I'd just been in. Oh, ma bébou, bébou, viens là. Viens là, bébou. Coucou. Incroyable. Ça me fait penser que Battler, il devait, à la base, à la fin du chapitre 4, c'était en mode vas-y, je finis vite ce jeu, je gagne et je vais retrouver ma sœur. Ça a complètement disparu, ça, de l'intrigue. Au moins, elle est là. C'est déjà cool. I glared at Amakusa for waking me up in such a creepy way, but he just pretended not to notice. On va encore avoir des throwbacks de 98 là. Where is this? It feels like a parlor in some dignified person's house, but I have no memory of this place at all. Where is this? And why am I... You're still half asleep, lady? Yes, sorry, where are we? Huh? Apparently he hadn't expected me to forget something like that just because I wasn't fully awake yet. For once I agreed with him. I am in some power that I don't recognize. The sound of the footsteps from the day Amakusa had mentioned had come right up to the opposite side of the door. I could hear conversing voices. Is that a woman? Judging by the coffee and snacks laid in front of me, I was the guest here. In that case, I'd better remember why I came here. Or at least who it was I came to visit. Who I am. Ushurmiya Ange. Who's the man standing behind me? Amakusa Yusa. Bah, ça va, on connaît. Hein. Pas besoin de mettre des... je sais pas quoi, là. The man who used to be my guard long ago. He's not the bodyguard Okonogi assigned to me. But in that case, in this after Aunt Eva's death, when I turned off my pursuit on the journey to find out what happened 12 years ago? Is that how it went? Do I really have a memory like this? Qu'est-ce qui se passe? After a knock, the door opened, and the person I must have come here to meet entered along with an assistant. How wonderful, even after seeing her face. I can't remember who she is. Oh, sincere apologies for keeping you waiting. Hachijo Toya is here. It's a relief. The assistant introduced her to me first, and I finally remember who she was. She? I thought it was a he. Excuse me, but are you... C'est qui? On dirait Rosa. Toujours de nouveaux persos, hein. That's right. I'm Ashijo Toya. Magazines are all talking about your book signing event. Supposedly a mysterious male author showed up wearing sunglasses and a mask. Never thought you'd be a woman. What's the deal? That was just a double arranged for by the editing department. I was the helper standing behind him at the book signing. No, there's a shock. I haven't read your works, but I bet you are even more mysterious than your books. Who doesn't only pretend to read books? Excusez-moi. They read them based merely on the name of the author and the brand and think that they've actually read them. No matter what I write in my books, they don't truly read anything. They just pretend to read so they can look smart and knowledgeable and keep up with the current fad. Why on earth should I expose myself to these people? D'accord. J.K. Rowling si elle était pas transphobe, quoi. Why endorse such trash? I see. Looks like you're Madame Achijo, alright. This person really is eccentric. There's no doubt about it. She's Achijo Toya herself. Achijo Toya is a mystery novelist who's become the center of discussion lately. It seems her books themselves have been highly praised, but it's her mysterious depth that attracted so much attention towards her lately. Last year, she managed to win several different awards for exceptional mystery novels offered by multiple large publishing companies, submitting each of her works under a different pen name. And after that, several highly regarded anonymous works were discovered, one after another, to have been stories she had written in the past under false names, and the popularity soared as she herself became more mysterious than her books. Mais qu'est-ce qu'on fout là, en fait? Ange, elle est morte. Despite all of this, the author herself never appeared in public, and everything about her was wrapped in a veil of secrecy. However, just a few years ago, this author finally made a public appearance for a book signing, showing up with a mask that covered his face and drawing even more public attention. And yet, apparently, even that had been a fake. Given the person's radically unconventional track record, it was hardly a surprise to hear a casually insult her fan like this. I know quite a lot about you too, Ushurmiya Ange-san. Oula. Attendez, j'ai perdu le Summer Game Fest. The talk shows have been saying all sorts of things. I'm sure you've heard nothing good. Yes, nothing good at all. Apparently you employ unfair people on the whim, try to resolve everything with money and care nothing for the law as long as you get your way. Yep, sounds about right. However, I happen to like intelligent people like you. Is that why you agreed to meet with me? Exactly. You're the only person who managed to spot that Ichuikukuro Reiganamu is another pen name used by me, Achijo Toya. This was actually quite impressive. Ituikukuro Reigonamu. It was a pretty strange pen name. However, if you match the Japanese syllabus number, you can read it as 11019960976. 67. This massive number is equal to 18 to the 8th power. 18 to the 8th. In Japanese, Toya no Achijo. Or in other words, Ashijo Toya. Yeah, very well done. I was quite impressed. In fact, I was so impressed I decided to let you meet me in person. Welcome to Animation, child of man. Her manner of speaking was extremely condescending, but perhaps because of her elegant manner, it didn't feel particularly irritating. This person had a sort of majestic grandeur about her, which made that style of speech seem almost natural. At least that's how it felt to me. In fact, it felt almost as though this was the manifestation of some noble being, who would have no need to show herself before mere humans under normal circumstances. Since I'm not particularly a fan of hers, I guess this is proof that her mysterious charisma really is nothing to be laughed at. However, I didn't come here to talk to Hashijo Toya, the mystery novelist. I'm interested in Ituikukuro Reigonamu, the mysterious web author who only released their work over the internet. Around the Japanese part of the internet, Ituikukuro is an extremely famous witch hunter. However, she isn't a big opinion leader like Professor Otsuki. She is one of those message board forgers who are always the center of vigorous debates. Message board forgers are, as the name suggests, people who forge and post the content of what's purported to be mysterious messages bottled detailing the event of the Rekonjima incident. They claim to have discovered a new message bottle and post either a very similar counterfeit story or a new theory with their own interpretation of the truth, all of which are supposedly written by Ushiromiya Maria. In so doing, they openly take on the name Ushiromiya Maria, writing up new bizarre tales as if they'd been present themselves and knew the truth. Then they send the stories out into the newest sea discovered by humankind, the internet, claiming that it's a third or fourth message bottle. All the first forgers were either simple prankster or crooks trying to swindle collectors. Eventually, though, people who claimed to have solved the riddles of the message bottle tales and reached the truth started to appear, and they started creating original works of their own, third and fourth messages bottle from Ushiromiya Maria. I thought they had moved over to the riddle teller's side. These people rewrote the tale of the witch with whatever interpretation they wanted, and every once in a while parts of the series will gain big followings on the net. Some of this creation grew to be so widely trusted that they were believed to contain some grain of truth. The more rigid witch hunter probably despises people, calling them forgers, counterfeiters, or just witches. Though they claimed to have reached the truth, they refused to tell anyone and created fake message bottles without testing everyone else. It was no surprise that most rage-less witch hunters were seriously annoyed by these forgers. However, among those who simply liked to entertain themselves with the occult fantasy of Rekonjima, an extremely small number accepted these creations as literary work, without the addition to the mysterious tale. Uikukuro was the most highly regarded of these forgers. Hand of the Golden Witch, I've read that one. That's one hell of a hobby you got there, killing off the people's family however you like. Did you come all the way here to say that? I think not. Final descendant of the Ushirama family? In the latest forgery, and she killed off 7 members of my family, at least during the actual story. No, if you count Alliance and Banquet, the other forgeries she's made before... Oh, attends. Oh, po. Les parties sont faites... Enfin, existent de par le fait que des gens les écrivent dans le monde réel. Yes, Pipers. Genre les gens post-accident écrivent des trucs, des parties, des choses, des chapitres. Et c'est pour ça qu'on peut les jouer. Then she's killed off most of my family in horrible ways, over and over again. Of course I want to complain. C'est elle la game master originelle en fait, dans le monde réel. However, all of her works are known for being in both form and level of perfection, the closest tale to those written by Ushumaya Maria herself. In particular, Uichitsuko's first forgery, Banquet of the Golden Witch, managed to fit everything including Ushumaya Eva's escape to Kuwadorian. People wondered whether this might be the true story of Rokenjima, and it even made it onto the talk shows. So far, all of these tales have been nothing more than electronic text on the web. However, people will eventually realize that Ukitsuko is actually Ashijo Toya. When that happens, it'll become the work of that bizarre Achijo, and no one will think of them as mere fan creations. People will probably start wondering if this might actually be a third message bottle she found and released, under the guise of a story she herself wrote. En gros, c'est un self-insert de l'auteur, là. La meuf. C'est juste un self-insert de l'auteur, là. When that happens, the stories will probably seem even more bizarre and incredible. You're pretty cunning, aren't you? Why do you say that? You're doing this to make your forgeries seem more mysterious and more credible. And what do you mean by credible? Once you've gained credibility, your forgeries will rise to the level of truth. Rise to the level of truth? Oh, foolish. Such a thing is unnecessary for my works. Are you saying that because your works are truths and not mere forgeries? Correct? They are truths, so there's no need for them to rise into anything. You aren't Mariani-chan, and you definitely weren't on Rokenjima on that day, so how can you be so absurd as to call this the truth? Hey, don't lose your cool, lady. Shut up, what makes you think I'm losing my cool? Ange half realized that she'd let her emotions get the better of her. She let aside and shrugged. Your reason for coming here wasn't to yell at me for killing your family several times within my forgeries, correct? Ashijo had been smiling at Ange kindly, but in a condescending manner. Or else like a mother might watch over a very small child. Ange realized that this and was unable to suppress her irritation. Apparently, Amakusa could tell her that Ange was getting worked up. He joked around with her for a bit so that they could start the conversation over again from the beginning. The thing you came here to hear is the truth that I've reached, is it not? Why are you so sure that you've reached the truth? Because I've understood all the tales. And I'm asking you why you're so sure about that. Do you think the sun ever revolved around the earth? Ashijo suddenly started talking about the Ptolemaic theory. Ange was about to tell her not to answer questions with more questions, but she quickly realized what Ashijo meant. Humans used to support the Ptolemaic theory. However, the theory has been rejected in the modern age. Does this mean that, at the instant that theory was rejected, the sun stopped moving and the earth started revolving around the sun? Of course not. The truth doesn't change based on what humans believe. Then right now, the denial of my truth means exactly the same thing. The idea of heliocentrism was proposed by several scholars before Galileo. However, it was hard to objectively prove that theory using the scientific techniques available at the time. Regardez du mouvement de la Terre. C'est un anime super bien. Ça parle que d'héliocentrisme, en gros. N'hésitez pas. Even so, that didn't change what the truth was, and yet it moves. So you're saying the truth is still the truth whether you can prove it or not? Correct? In the future, when the full truth finally becomes known, people will look back and realize that I had already discovered it. Apparently, Ange just couldn't stand Chijo's attitude. She kept getting irritated, and every time, Amakusa would joke around until she settled down again. However, there could be no mistake that Achijo was a genius, and had used her extraordinary intuition to form a most interesting outlook on the events that occurred on that island. That way was Ange has wanted to contact Itoi Kokoro and her views. Still, this meeting truly had been fortunate for Ange. She hadn't been absolutely sure that Itoi Kokoro was Achijo Toya. She hadn't thought that the publishing company would really contact the author. Pourquoi il y a SNK au Summer Game Fest là? Merde. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that the sum of the events leading to this meeting made for nothing short of a miracle. Yes, a miracle. After in almost all cases, I'd never been contacted by the publishing company and would leave for Nijima the next day. Huh? Huh? I'd leave for Nijima, then go on to Rokenjima. And then give Onichan a Sekutaro stuffed animal. Huh? Why a Sekutaro stuffed animal? My memory of the future is on Mudblood. My heart hurts. Il se passe quoi là? Chijo said something about showing Ange something good. Genre elle est broken, elle a tous ses fragments, elle se rappelle de tout. Elle peut rejouer 18 fois. Chijo said something about showing Ange something good, rose from the sofa and headed for the study desk. When she turned her back, Amakusa asked Ange, who seemed to be troubled by something, if she was okay. Hi, Amakusa. Oh, long have I been here? What? You've been looking weird for a while now. What's going on? I can't remember how long I've been sitting here. I was still half asleep. That's not it. I mean, I was able to get an appointment with Professor Otsuki, but the publishing company never got back to me about Oguchi Kuro. So in the end, I was stuck unable to do anything that entire day, right? Huh? Amakusa, you went to go get that large black bag, didn't you? On se rappelle que Ange, elle avait vu un truc dans la cabane du pêcheur, là. Et on sait toujours pas ce que c'est. Attendez, je remets la cam. Elle avait vu un truc dans le chapitre 4, là, dans la cabane du pêcheur, là. Elle était en mode, what? Ça avait l'air d'être la révélation du siècle. Et au final, on n'a jamais su, quoi. Tac. Voilà, c'est mieux, là. That's right, just before we left for Nijima, Amakusa and Botched away just one time. He said something about getting a weapon from an acquaintance of his, and he went go to get that large black bag. Wasn't that today? What am I talking about? I mean, didn't I go to Nijima, meet Captain Kawabata, and inside the bed shop? Voilà! Voilà! What? Something's wrong. My confusion and uncertainty make me sigh out loud. Even though Ashijo's back was to me, she slowly turned around and smiled as though she had peered into my heart. No, it's nothing. Strange memories, ones that even I can't understand. I tried to hide my confusion, but for some reason, Ashijo has a strange glint in her eyes, but so she could read in my mind. I've revived and killed your family several times with various forgeries. En fait, c'est Béatrice. Almost like a witch might. Ouais, bah voilà. Raving and killing them whenever you like. Endlessly. Sounds almost like Beatrice, doesn't it? Eh oui. Yes, it does. So please follow the lead of all those people on the web and consider the possibility that I might be a witch. She took a thickly packed brown envelope out of a locked drawer. It appeared to be filled to the brim with printed paper. Perhaps this was a manuscript for one of her work. The neat letter written with fountain pen of the envelope spelled the word down. There was not forgery by the name of Down, which must mean... Ange could tell. It was a new one. Achijo's newest unreleased forgery. Down of the... C'est le nom du chapitre. Hein. C'est vraiment le self-insert de l'auteur. Hein. For one such as I, who knows everything is boring. D'accord. Anekawa te mettrait une patate dans la gueule pour avoir dit ça. Tu ne sais pas tout, tu ne sais que ce que tu sais. However, I don't dislike letting the ignorant read my works to see what kind of reaction they have. And so I wanted to read it. Do you want me to read your newest work, which you've created as the new Endless Witch? Correct, child of man. Whether you resent it or... En fait, c'est le dieu de l'échiquier, là. Whether you resent it or admire it, you can help me forget my illness for a time. Let's put an end to this farce, shall we? Who are you? I don't remember ever meeting you like this. Oh? Yes, I did try to contact Achi Shotoya, but in the end I never got a chance to meet her. In other words, all of this is a falsehood. Whose piece I am this time? Sorry, but if you think you can tame Shiromiya Ange so easily, you're making a big mistake. Yes, I hoped you'd be this interesting. She finally couldn't stop, hold it back, and burst out laughing. Gradually, the space around them seemed to be filled with a strange purple mist. The room itself seemed to twist. En fait, on n'est pas dans le monde réel. Seemed to twist and bend. Her figure also twisted, and after something that couldn't be described elapsed, her form changed to become just what she had called herself, a witch. Je me suis fait eu. Je me suis fait eu, j'ai cru qu'on était en 98. Maybe. Yo Lesia, merci. Ça va Sunshine, ça se passe? Ouais, dis rien du tout, t'inquiète. Eh, joue au jeu laser de ton côté. T'inquiète, c'est un pur banger comme on n'en a jamais fait. Voilà. Fais-toi confiance. Splendid. You did all this through my veil. It seems I'm a witches love just to cling to. You all have that same condescending tone toward humans. I figured you were a witch right away. The novelist sitting on the sofa was nowhere to be seen. Even Ange's bodyguard, who was supposed to be around all time at a time like this, was gone. Il y a une traduc française qui sort bientôt. Si tu veux, je te tiendrai au courant quand elle sera sortie et puis je pourrai y jouer. Ils sont en train de trad là et ils ont fait 4 chapitres sur 8 donc et en vrai ça va assez vite. Je pense que d'ici 2, peut-être 3 mois max, on sera pas mal. Ton excuse marche pas. Enfin, elle marche pour l'instant, du coup. Enfin bref, on en rediscutera. Mais t'inquiète, c'est vraiment incroyable. There was only a non-human figure relaxing in a large, ornate rocking chair. I find it really intriguing, child of man. Your charming nature is a perfect medicine for my boredom. Yeah, well, I don't see anything charming about this. Why am I alive? Wasn't I killed in a pretty nasty way for breaking the rule about revealing my name? To be honest, I did doubt that those people would just let me go so easily. What kind of farce will I be forced to go along with this time? I really don't care. I just do whatever I can within the bound of the role they give me, whatever I can to help Oni-chan. Of course I understand. Ouais, donc du coup elle est de retour dans le monde où elle a été mise en viande, quoi. Mais, dans quel but? Of course I understand. Even if he wins, he'll never come back to me. Even so, I'll struggle on. I'll make sure Oni-chan comes back to the me of that day. No need to lose your temper. I'm not asking you to be a piece. Then why did you summon me here? Don't tell me you want me to read this new story or whatever this is you've written. That's it exactly. I do not want you to be my piece. I have always been a mere observer, and I have no intention of sticking my neck into the game. I don't get it. What is it you want from me? Be an observer for me. An observer of the fragments Beatrice had woven. An observer? I don't really get it, but no deal. In the past, I observed the fragments through Battler's eyes. However, now that he has succeeded the position of Game Master, he is not a suitable observer. I am following this tale with the true and earnest intentions. It would be such a waste to observe it through the eyes of Battler, as he is now, like reading a detective novel backwards. Only change the Game Master? What on earth are you talking about? You must have no clue what it's all about. You want to know, don't you? I want to know too. What kind of tale would Butler Wave know that he has taken the position of Game Master? Furthermore, I wish to search for the truth Butler reached as part of my own mental journey. My illness affects me gravely. If I do not sing, I cannot even keep my heart beating. So you want me to read your new picture book aloud to you? We might as well interpret it that way. In exchange, you will also be able to take part in your own journey of the mind. I do believe that even you have yet to reach the truth. I think you want to continue on the journey to find the truth. I don't owe you anything. Do not push your luck. I can be lenient at times, but such cases are rare. Ange hadn't yet reached the truth either, though she knew that the game was little more than a toy for the amusement of those witches. She wanted it to resume so that she could follow the tale and close in on the king called truth. I might explore the tale to find the truth for myself, but I have no obligation to read it aloud until the end for your sake. Understand? Ange was willing to read the story aloud, but she could quit at any time if this witch made her mad. She was in effect warning the witch not to annoy her. Of course, you call it a picture book, but to me it's the only medicine for a fatal illness. I cannot take that medicine without you to assist me. In other words, it's a mutually beneficial arrangement. So you're telling me to read your book until you fall asleep? And in exchange you'll let me read it too? Is that right? Precisely. If you are willing to accept, I shall ask that you become my reader for a time. Well, it's nice to get my own title, but what you really want me to do is read books, right? Becoming my reader means the same as becoming my familiar. In other words, what is done against you will be done against me. I will not permit anyone to disrupt my only interest, that being to read the rest of Beatrice's tale. I will not let Burncastle, Lambda Delta, or even Beatrice for anything upon you. Ouais, là, j'avoue, ça commence à sentir le foin, cette histoire. Hein. This witch, who seemed to have an almost divine quality to her, on dirait vraiment une déesse, hein, spoke both quietly and forcefully. There was no threat in her words. However, even so, it was clear that she was on a different level than Burncastle and the other witches, and not at all to be taken lightly. So you'll offer me protection if I agree to read your book? Of course. What I want is for you to read aloud to me. I will not spare any who attempt to stand in the way of that. If my attitude seems arrogant to you, allow me to apologize, child of man. It may not seem so, but I am speaking to you with the utmost respect. Yeah, probably. Even that witch like style of speech feels like it's got to be the most respectful thing you've said in the last few 100 years. When you're reading a book, you tell it thank you very much before flipping through the pages? I guess it is like that. I understand. But by agreeing to have a conversation with Ange, she was showing an incredible amount of respect and willingness to compromise. Ange shrugged, but she also nodded to show her consent. Sure, I'll be a reader. I get that you showed a ton of respect just by asking for my consent first. I understand well, child of man. My name's Ange, not child of man or whatever. Very well, as proof of my respect for you, I will acknowledge your name. For her, acknowledging human name was like acknowledging the name of all the leaves scattered across the ground. So her acknowledging Ange's name was a miracle. It was immensely good fortune. From this point forth, assure me Ange will serve as a reader and Miko, with the witch of the theater going. C'est elle que j'ai eu sur... C'est elle que j'ai eu sur Karuta. C'est bon, on est au point. Elle ressemblait pas du tout à ça sur la carte. Enfin, je savais même plus à quoi la carte ressemblait. Hein. The Witch of Theater Going. Hein. Ok. C'est un peu en fait, c'est un peu Dieu, quoi. Genre, elle est là, elle voit ça comme une farce, un peu comme un moyen de s'amuser. Until you finish reading, I shall bring calamity to all who attempt to hinder your task. When the witch of theatre going, Featherin, spoke this, Ange was wrapped in a bright light. Ange didn't feel any particular change herself, but she definitely has been given something that only non-humans could sense. It signified that from this point forward, Ange will be the witch of theatre going subject. That didn't mean that Ange will gain some sort of special power, but at the very least it probably meant that anyone wanting to cause her harm would first have to take on Featherin herself. Your name is pretty long. Sound like some Roman person from the history books. What should I call you? Those not familiar with me call me Augustus Aurora. After all the respect you've shown me, it's only fitting that I respond in kind. I'll call you Featherin. Any problems? None at all. For an ailing witch such as myself, even being called by my first name will be an experience to be treasured and pondered over, child of man. I have a name, it's Ange. Even conversations like this are pleasant every once in a while. Ange, my Miko. Ça veut dire quoi, my Miko? Ange accepted her role. She would observe the story with the witch of theatre going. The curtain was rising on the sixth tale. Ah. Comme un Shikuji. Comme comme Kaguya. Comment ça il l'a pas? Qui? J'ai oublié quelqu'un? At one time, only Beato and her fellow witches had gathered in the smoking room to chat. Now, however, an unusually large number of people were present. I wonder what kind of game Battle's gonna show us. I don't care what it is, as long as it's fun enough to relieve my boredom as I crush it. Leave everything to me, my master. I'll perform to my fullest and give you the results you desire. Yeah, you'd better. I kept making strange faces all last game thanks to you. I hope I don't start getting rank from all that. There's no need to worry. The beauty of my master's face is without peer, no matter how wrinkly it may get. It's rare to see Burn in such high spirits. Beto's game board is really something else. Outside is that the master of this game board is no longer with us. Attacker dies and left behind his sides. Looks like Beto died and left behind a game. Even though Jess still exists, no one knows the name of the person who invented it. Oh, you're right. Je me demande comment on va en arriver au mariage, moi, surtout. Hein. C'est surtout ça le vrai souci, là. Come to think of it, Battles Henry had kept us waiting, hasn't he? He's still setting up the sixth game? Gertrude, how have Lord Battler's preparation progressed? Please, allow me to speak. Ta prochaine phrase sera... Alright, it will be finished very soon. Toi à gauche, ta prochaine phrase sera... Please, allow me to speak. Ah non. If he's kept us waiting this long, he must be pretty confident in his plan. He really humiliated me in front of my master last time. I'll defeat him no matter what it takes. And you in particular, make sure you don't screw up again. I will make the challenges of my strengths. Elle a pas dit allow me to speak. The previous game master, Lambda Delta, had confirmed that Battler understood everything about Beto's game. However, in order to prove it, Battler would have to run this game by himself and carry it through to completion. In other words, if Erika could crush this game of Battlers, she would in effect wipe away the dishonor of that last game. Though Erika was chomping at the bit to get started, it was taking Battler quite some time to show himself. Putain, mais il est cheaté maintenant. On vient de voir le dieu des dieux des sorcières, là, Featherin. Comme il y a Sephiroth au Summer Game Fest. At that time, a swarm of gold butterflies popped into existence and took human form. From the shape of that familiar dress, everyone immediately realized who it was. Ho ho ho. Oh look, it's Beatrice-san. And I thought you died and disappeared last time. The one who died last time was Beatrice the player. This is probably just a piece, Battle's piece. Even if she's a piece, it does not change the fact that it is her. Beatrice gave an elegant curtsy as she appeared. The simple entrance was so vastly different from her usual high-pitched laugh that it made the long-awaited start of the 6th game feel even more ominous than the otherwise would have. Father will be here very soon. I had that you wait for this short while longer. Haha. Father? The heck? Is that the news pin this time? Not only had Beato started talking in an unusually polite manner, she had also used the word father, presumably referring to Butler. For an instant, everyone was stunned into silence, but they quickly realized that this was setting up some kind of theme and they grinned. Beto wasn't the type who could keep this kind of act for long, would probably fall apart in a few seconds, leaving her cackling rudely at everyone. Erika, who was itching for a fight, went for Beto almost at once. I can't believe that this incompetent Battleson reached the truth of your game. I'm sure Father understands it quite deeply. He really is good at that sort of thing. Still, you're pretty lucky. If Butler hadn't become the game master, he wouldn't have revived the game. You really got the luck of the devil, don't you? The luck of the devil? Well, either way, I'm going to pay you back in full of last time. You're just one of Battle's delusions, so I'll erase every part of you and knock you down into the abyss of oblivion. I too cannot allow you such an easy victory. I look forward to having a good clean fight. At this point, everyone realized that something weird was going. Très weird. There was no doubt that the face, the dress, and the hair were all Beatrice. However, her expression was different. Even though she has Beto's face, Beto would never show anyone an expression like that. Who are you? There was a heavy silence. Then Delta spoke for everyone there. At first, Beato had worn a smiling yet blank expression. However, when she realized that the mood had gone suddenly stiff, her expression finally darkened and she hung her head. Who are you? You appear to be Lady Beatrice, but are you not? Even the landlord was forced to ask, despite the rudeness of the question. That was how much this woman who appeared to be Beato was not. And am I somehow different from the Beatrice everyone was expecting? What are you talking about? Wait a sec, don't tell me you have amnesia or something. I was only born recently, so I have no memories at all. However, I will study hard in order to become the Beatrice you all expect. Beato, I thought I told you to stay in your room. Atlas' voice came out of nowhere. His tone was very slightly cold. Beato's expression looked like that of a young girl being scolded. Oh le monstre. Oh le monstre. Le drip. Ça c'est du drip ça. In the thrill of gold butterflies, Butler appeared, his dignified bearing and appearance were fitting for the rule of this game. However, his expression was gloomy, and his gaze was directed at Beato. Go back to your room. You aren't supposed to be here. I just wanted to help you wherever I could, Father. Go to your room. He spoke both softly and forcefully. Butler did not leave her any room for debate. Beato hung her head and curtsied as she prepared to leave the room. Also, yes, what it is, Father? My name is Butler. Never call me by your different name again. Yes. Bah, du coup, oui, il a refait une Béatrice. Vu que la nôtre est complètement foutue, il en a refait une avec ses souvenirs et tout, mais sauf qu'elle est. Elle est incomplète, quoi. Beato melted into a cloud of gold butterflies and disappeared. This was the first part of the tale with Butler as the game master. The witches all assumed that he'd come forward with some flashy big development, so it was all completely unexpected to them. Their mouths were still hanging open. This is a pretty weird take on it. Pardon me? Let's forget what you saw just now. You're playing dumb, but this is all just part of your plan, isn't it? You're aiming to give us the wrong impression, like another North Wind and the Sun strategy, aren't you? C'est lui qui va faire un setup. Peut-être oui, en vrai. Is there something wrong? Don't worry about it. It has nothing to do with you people. I see. Guess it doesn't matter then. Okay, Battler. Start up the new game right away. You've kept us waiting so long it's gotten totally boring. Sure. Let's start the 6th game. Erica and you two, Burn Castle. To be my tale, prove that I've reached Beatrice's truth. Lana Delta, please watch this game until the end as a former game master. Sure, looking forward to it. What's the title? Dawn. As in, the Dawn of the Golden Witch. Sure, if we're talking about a winter sun that goes below the horizon right away. Of course, my master. I drag it back down for you. At least your naming sense is good, Battler-san. I'll give you that much. I'm glad you like it. Then let's get started. The 6th game will now begin. Atlas solemnly announced the start of the game. Compared to his fired up attitude at the end of the previous game, where he and Erika had sworn to settle everything next time, he was extremely quiet now. Angie, Beato seems to have changed a lot since we last saw her. I'm surprised too. I don't have a clue what's going on. I don't even get why Beato's alive in the first place. I just finished reading it a second ago, but at the end of the previous tale, didn't she die just before Butler reached the truth? There are 2 kinds of death in this world. One of them is when the piece is taken from the game board. Such a death exists only within the bounds of the game, and these lives can revive over and over again, each time a new game begins. That's why the witches are so merciless when it comes to taking those lives. To the witch player, the lives of those characters who appear on the game board are no different from pieces on the chessboard that take those pieces and get taken. After all, these pieces will be set up again when the next game starts. Maria's secretary is a prime example of these. Secretary is Onichan's piece? Yes, that makes sense. In the game board that represents the inside of Onichan's head, Secretary certainly does exist, and is a piece that will always stay by her side. So is nothing more than a stuffed animal in the real world. On Onichan's game board is no less of a piece than any other. But I wonder, if you were a piece in the witch games, it should be possible to revive him easily, right? But Onichan wasn't able to revive Secretary in her world. That's because she lost that completely unique stuffed animal that was in his vessel. Because of this, the conditions for that piece's existence were violated, and it became impossible to revive him on Maria's game board. The only reason you were able to revive Secretary on the game board was because you once again satisfied the condition for his existence, correct? True. Maria Onichan was only unable to revive him because she lost the stuffed animal that was his vessel. If, like the rest of my family on Battle's game board, she hadn't needed a vessel for him, she would be able to revive him as often as she wanted. I get it. Makes sense that Secretary was Onichan's piece. At least as long as his vessel was okay, he couldn't be revived over and over again. Correct? As long as his vessel is safe, he can be revived over and over again. That's what the life of a piece is like. That's the first kind of death in this world. What's the second? That's the death of beings outside the game board. To continue with the Secretary example, this will be like Maria's death. You mean not her death as a piece, but the death of the real Onichan, right? Not necessarily. Loss of interest or concern will have the same effect. When Maria outgrows playing with stuffed animal, Maria the game player will die. It's as quick and easy as turning off the switch on the TV when you get bored of it. I see. In that case, Beato the player completely gave up on winning during the last game, so she died and vanished. Which means, if Beato ever comes back thinking she's got a chance of defeating Onichan, that means she come back to life, right? Logically, that is true. It's the same for humans, witches and even gods. If they lose interest and concern, they can die at any time. And if they regain that interest, they can revive at any time. However, through the concept of time does not exist in the world of gods, and they can revive whenever they want. Time shoots by like an arrow in the human world, and it isn't so easy here. That's true. Skipping school for 1 day might not be a problem, but if you skip for 3 days in a row, it'd be really hard to convince yourself to go back. Not if that stretch out for a month, a year, a decade, or 1,000 years like in the world of witches. I see. If you skipped class for that long, it meant you dead socially. After being dead that long, not only would be unable to catch up on all you miss in the world large, you also lose any motivation you might have had when you left. So even though you'll be alive, it'd be fair to say that you died once. You will never again be able to regain the self that you once were. You will never come back to life. Beto lost any chance or hope of winning. Even though she knew this, she pretended not to and kept on fighting for many games. So Beto will not return. Her hopes were crushed. She spent all the willpower that she might have used to regain the will to fight. Therefore, that Beatrice will never revive again. Aïe 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 aïe. J'aurais dû pleurer à la fin du chapitre 5. That Beato, who just sat around the whole time with empty eyes in the 5th game, must be in her corpse. She managed to remain on the game board despite it all, but then even that corpse was wiped away. Bah oui. Mais du coup c'est vraiment la fin quoi. If Beato had been the game master at that time instead of Lambda Delta. Je l'ai eu dans Karuta, Lazir, c'est peut-être pour ça. Beato had been the game master at the time instead of Lambda Delta. The game board itself would have vanished at that moment and everything would end it. Come to think of it, Beato started to lose the will to fight back near the end of the 4th game. When Beato loses her will to fight, the world of the game disappears. Y a UMINEKO en anime. Oui, mais pas en entier, je crois. Je sais plus. However, the witches wanted to keep playing this game board world, so Lambda Delta bound Beato in place with that cursed shackle. Oui, y a UMINEKO en anime, mais je crois que c'est pas si fou. On va demander à Lefaux ou à quelqu'un qui a vu l'anime. Je sais même pas si Lefaux l'a vu en fait. She used the shackle to fix the game board in place and prevent it from disappearing. Even if Beato did lose the will to fight. In chess, this will be the equivalent of removing the set time limit for each turn, making it endless. However, simply having the game endlessly pause on Beato's turn will cause the witches to die from the illness of boredom. Pourquoi ils ont jamais fait la suite en anime du coup, contrairement à Higurashi? That's why Lambda Delta took the position of Game Master. Starting then, Beato's existence was no longer one of the conditions necessary for the game's existence. Ok, bon bah dommage pour l'anime. Ça aurait pu donner une carrière encore plus grande à UMINEKO du coup. That's probably why the shackles behind her to the game board were released. And that explains why she disappeared in the 5th game. So, when Onichan managed to reach the truth, it was one game too late for him to tell Beato about it. The 5th game was a form of charity on Lambda Delta's part. Ah bah super, Lazia, merci. Après, effectivement, elle a l'air extrêmement forte, ouais. Mais n'en dis pas trop, s'il te plaît. Ah, c'est elle qui bat Giorno, du coup. Bon bah, écoute. Au moins, je le saurais. Peut-être. She merely showed battleless and mercy as the Witch of Certainty, acknowledging her strong desire to reach the truth no matter what. How can you call that charity? Just those fickles which killing time. Let's go back to the point. So that means this word Beato isn't the player Beato. She's just a piece Beato. True. If that is the case, she should eventually become the Beato everyone knows. I imagine that is the Beato that Butler wants. Ok, il veut essayer de la reforger un petit peu avec sa partie. Je vois ce qu'il veut dire. Il veut essayer de la refaire comme elle était. Via sa partie, j'imagine. You mean he wasn't satisfied with just a doll? When playing with dolls, one can project the personality they most desire onto the doll. However, since you are acting out the part, nothing unexpected can ever happen. You cannot hope for any unanticipated happiness. In the human world, there is nothing so boring as a pre-established harmony. That's why though a doll can become a person's best friend in the world, people eventually get bored and outgrow them. Only and only wants the real Beato. They couldn't bear having a doll that only acted like Beato. A Beato born at Butler Peace probably move according to Butler's wishes. That's only natural for a piece. Pieces move however the player tells them to, and they can't do anything else. I see what it is Tony-chan wants. So what's up with this weird Beato? Butler might be trying to revive Beato in the truest sense. That is the never-dying dream held by children of man. You just used the right to say that wasn't possible. That Beato will never revive. However, that doesn't mean that it's impossible for Beato to be born again. Have you forgotten? I believe that Burn Castle was have revealed Beato's true form at the end of the first game. Huh? No, I remember. She said something about how Beato existed as the incarnation of a rule. Information began to be accumulated based around that rule. In the end, it took the form of the witch known as Beatrice. If the pattern is followed once more, the same Beatrice will be born again. And perhaps one could call that a resurrection. In other words, that weird Beato is Beato as an egg, or maybe a chick. The interpretation is probably accurate. In short, this Beato is a chick who might grow to become that Beato. And that means this pure and lovable kid will eventually grow into that screwed up crazy witch. In other words, that Beato is a baby version of the Beato we all know. Just like no person is born evil, the newborn Beato isn't evil either. Even though she is a different person, if you measure her by her root, or perhaps her soul, then maybe you really could call this a resurrection. However, this reality can possibly be easy to accept. Though she may technically be Beato herself, she is also, without a doubt, a different person, and that way she acts will make anyone feel as something's out of place. How entertaining. Hearing you read aloud is far from boring. I doubt you even really need someone to read aloud for you. It looks like you already know everything. I only reached that tell because I'm engaged in a conversation with you. My thoughts are more numerous than the stars in the sky. I only appear to know everything to a child of man like you. However, without you here, I'm nothing but a weak, sickly person without even the power to think. If you just say that in the first place, I would agree to read that for you a lot more easily. Life would just happen to improve. Don't get an overswelled impression of yourself. Your life meant less to me than a leaf one has lost after using in a bookmark. Please keep reading already. Is that pretty much what you're trying to say? Heh, far from boring. You really do make an excellent Miko. Featherin rocked back in a rocking chair and looked up at the ceiling, laughing as though the conversation itself was pleasant for her. Ange was slowly figuring out how to deal with this strange witch. This person was also bored. Faut te brancher Jojo le dire. C'est une aventure monumentale. This person was also bored. It's not uncommon for a sick person who's bored from being bedridden for a long time to start acting rebellious. On the other hand, they can also get a little bored of being treated kindly all the time. She may want to be shown respect for her superiority. Le début est chiant, mais à partir de la... Il y a 9 épisodes pour le premier arc, à partir du deuxième je trouve que c'est beaucoup mieux déjà. Et puis après il y a les stands au bout de 25 épisodes, et c'est encore mieux quoi. Et je suis d'accord que le premier arc est pas ce qui donne le plus envie de regarder la série. Mais il faut quand même... tu vas au bout de 9 épisodes, et après c'est bonito quoi. She may want to be shown respect for her superiority, but it's probably more interesting for her when she's spoken to rudely. What a coincidence. That's exactly what I used to be. Anyway, from what we learned in the fourth game, there's no doubt that there's been some kind of antagonism between Beato and Onichan in the past. Ouais, réessaye, et en vrai, je pense vraiment que tu vas kiffer. Il y a quelques longueurs dans certaines saisons, mais honnêtement, c'est trop bien. C'est une aventure que tu vis qu'une fois, Jojo. Vraiment. Learning about this beato might give us a key to finding the truth. Yoriku. Ouais, je vais couper dans... Ouais, je vais jouer... J'ai dit que je jouais 3 heures à peu près. Donc encore un peu moins de 2 heures. Si jamais vous voulez jouer à ce moment-là, je serai là. It does seem so. It has got my interest as well. Let's read our tale too. Oh, sure, as you wish, my master. When Ange raised her hands like a conductor, the bookshelf in its bizarre study responded. Once again, several books floated out and began to swirl around Ange. Pourquoi c'est aussi... On voit le fond du truc au fond, là. Kinzo studied in the room belonging to the master in the human world. So he studied in the world of non-humans belonged to the master of the game board, and was a place where he could look down upon the humans. Therefore one could hardly be blamed for mistaking the imposing brown man in the center of the studio for Kinzo, if only for a second. But it wasn't Kinzo. This was Butler, the one who had taken up the position of Game Master, becoming the new territory lord of this world. Around Butler was a swirl of glowing fragments sparkling like the night sky. And the floor was what appeared to be a red magic circle. To an outsider it would seem to be nothing more than an incomprehensible geometric shape. Whoa. But to Butler, who stood at its center, it was the outline for a new tale. A new line grew across the magic circle, following Butler's gaze. Then at the instant it connected with a complicated symbol. The entire magic circle flashed brightly. So, how does it look? It is splendid, master. The sixth game is complete. As Butler wiped his forehead and finally relaxed, Kenji, who was standing behind him and watching over his every move, nodded deeply in response. I always thought being a game master meant you could make the tale however you want, but it is seriously harder than I thought. You must write up multiple tales and make the inner and outer sides of the story match. Though truly you have displayed such skill, it is hard to believe that this is your first time. I believe even Erika-sama will be satisfied with this game. Well, hopefully it matches that great detective's tastes. Still, I've gotta honestly respect Beato now. I can hardly believe that she managed to make tales that complicated and do it so easily. Easily? Far from it. Beato is somehow so worried and worried, racking her brain over various contradictions each time she created a tale. She was constantly battling with logic errors. Logic errors? That is when the two sides of the tale do not meet, creating a contradiction. When this happens, it becomes a fatal violation of the rule known as logic errors, and the game board will immediately collapse and be destroyed. It's a greater than worst form of error that which side can make, and one which must always be avoided. So Beato got close to bumping into those many times in her games. She fought with them every time she created a game. I believe it grew even more difficult for her as you became a more formidable opponent. So, do you think this game I've made is good enough to show Beato? Yes, of course. Beato hasn't woken up yet, has she? Ça va être bizarre cette histoire. Hein. It's been a while since her body was formed as a personification of the rules. Is she still not awake? After remaining silent for a while longer, Kenji answered. She woke up 3 days ago. You were concentrating on the construction of the sixth game, so I decided to wait before telling you. My sincere apologies. Oh really? Yeah, I'll bet she's still at drowsy after sleeping so long. I really wanted to show her my games. No, it's more than that. I have to show her. I need to tell her that I've understood everything. Butler's face broke into a smile. There was no trace of his expression of the hatred he had once felt toward Beato for murdering his family. In a way, that was the final riddle of the fifth game. Yes, when Butler reached the truth, there was a great change in his impression of Beato. So should we assume that there really was something between Onichi and Beato, and that he forgot all about it? Est-ce qu'on va avoir la réponse du sin, du coup? However, Butler suspected this in the fourth game and asked Beato about it. According to the tale, this was denied by the Red Truth. 6 years ago, no person called Beatrice existed for Butler. We can read this as saying that Beato did not exist 6 years ago, or it could simply mean that she had no connection to Butler at that time. However, either way, Butler did not visit Rokkenjima at all for the next 6 years. October 1st, 1986 would have been the first time Beatrice and Oni-chan met. If so, why was there already some kind of antagonism between them? I don't have a clue what it means. That scene of Ushurima Battlers, which Beato took Butler to task for in the fourth game, might give us a clue. The result of that might have been Beatrice herself. The result? The result of Oni-chan's sins was Beato? En vrai, c'est très possible. Parce qu'elle a dit à cause de ça, des gens meurent. Donc c'est même fort possible en fait. That must sound as though Oni-chan created the witch called Beatrice himself. Almost as so. Beatrice was Butler's piece. Huh? Butler sinned 6 years ago. Because of that sin, people died. We. The one doing the killing was Beatrice. If you consider the possibility that everything is connected to Butler's sin 6 years ago, then the one who created Beatrice was Butler himself. I thought it sounded almost as though she was Butler's piece. I don't get it. Even if Oni-chan sinned in some way, his crime couldn't have been anything close to murder. If this huge massacre is in retaliation for what he did, then it's totally out of proportion. Beto killed our family, Dad, Mom, Oni-chan, everyone. I can't believe that Oni-chan's sin was anything deserving of that. The weight of a sin depends on the person measuring it. Even a sin so light that Butler might have forgotten would have been so serious to Beto that she hated him enough to massacre his whole family a full 6 years after the fact. Well, even I find it a bit excessive, and more importantly, if you were a person like that, I would find it hard to accept that Butler would act so friendly towards her after discovering the truth. Tezurin's observation was an interesting one. In the past game, Beto clearly said that Oni-chan sin 6 years ago was the cause of this 2-day tragedy. I still don't know what kind of sin that was. However, I figured out what it was at the end of this 5th game, and even apologized to Beto, even though she was the witch who had massacred his entire family in retaliation for his sin of 6 years previous. Butler apologized to her. Of course, it was the player Butler who apologized, not the beast Butler whose family had been murdered over and over again. But even so, Butler must have remembered something at the end of the last game that made him feel like apologizing. Does that mean this sin from 6 years ago is hidden somewhere in the tale we've seen so far? I have already formed a certain theory on that matter. Oh? Let's hear it. I cannot tell you yet. I want to enjoy being the only one who knows the answer for a little while longer. Well then I guess I'm done reading for you. Well, we can't have that, can we? Have some patience and read a bit further. My theory is still nothing more than a guess. Once I'm certain of it, I'll tell you. Okay, my master. I truly do want to hear what comes next after all. Just what kind of connection do Oni-chan and Beatrice have with each other? Understanding that will probably give me a massive clue towards finding the truth of this world. After all, because you remembered that, he was able to reach the truth. Ha. Beatrice. Welcome, Master. Beatrice Amma is waiting for you. This way, please. This place was a villa set aside for Beatrice's use. It was a sacred site for her only, built so that she could spend her day without being affected by the outside world. My heart began to race. I'm so glad that she was able to revive and that everything's okay. Beatrice is a personification of the rules, so even though she was destroyed once, it's possible for her to be reborn again. Matlo had quickly succeeded in reviving Beato's body, but he'd had trouble summoning her soul back. However, during the time it spent immersed in the creation of the 6th game, she had woken up. And this had happened 3 days ago. Matlo let himself be led into the dining hall. The dining hall had been set up for his and Beato's use. It existed so that they could enjoy some black tea while having conversations that were only possible, and that he had reached all of the truth. I want to tell her. I want to tell Beato that I found the truth. Butler couldn't hold back his excitement over this miracle had been granted. The miracle of Beato waiting for him in the dining hall to hear what he had to say. How is Beatrice? Same as usual? Is she doing well? Oh yes, she is doing quite well. She has been waiting for you all this time, master. Oh yes. So she's in the dining hall. Is she eating or something? Oh, that's okay. It doesn't matter. He's away. Oh, you'll be surprised. Beatrice! When he swung open the doors to the dining hall, Battle was greeted by a wonderful sight. Though the food laid out on the table wasn't particularly sensational, it was arranged beautifully and a champagne bottle stood there waiting. Then the person clad in familiar dress with the beautiful golden hair bowed deeply in greeting. Beatrice, you have my sincerest gratitude for giving me this form. On dirait Kinzo avec Béatrice maintenant, ça devient bizarre. Hein. Come on, don't worry about that. I'm so glad, Beato. Attendez, je vais aller prendre un petit pips. J'arrive. Heureux. Pardon cette petite intermission. Hop. Hop là. On est reparti pour un petit moment. Un poquito momento. Butler rushed up to Beto and hugged her tightly, just to make sure her body wasn't just a mist or an illusion. I solved your riddle for you. But then, before I could tell you about it, you went and disappeared. Am I right here? I'm right here. I will not disappear. It's okay, you can stop talking like that. I'm not going to ask you for anything in return. Anyway, I want to apologize. And I want to talk with you. I don't even know where I should start. You have done nothing that you need to apologize for, Father. I'm glad just to be of service to you. Beto? Beggars were born for your sake, Father. Please let me support you. And Father, congratulations on completing the 6th game. I tell you, stop talking like that. Ah, il est pas au courant, lui, que c'est vraiment ça. You're creeping me out. You find this style of speech displeasing? Please forgive my rudeness. I don't find it displeasing, but it's not like you. I guess I like the way you usually talk best. Beto smiled vaguely. The butler had probably looked at though they were both smiling at the unusual way she was talking. However, Beto's smile theory was vague and uncertain. After all, she didn't know how she was supposed to talk. Anyway, Beto, just what kind of joke is this? Don't tell me that the great Beatrice Sama decided to cook for me. When I heard that you had completed the 6th game, I wanted to see if I could prepare a modest reward to congratulate you. Oh, Beatrice Sama really worked hard to make this. I didn't even need to lend a hand at all. No, I didn't. The food set on the table really was modest and inexpertly made. You could tell by looking at it that Beato, who wasn't particularly skilled with cooking, had given it her all. However, signs of discomfort and irritation were beginning to appear on Butler's face. What's going on here? She said Beatrice-sama wishes to congratulate you. Sweat was starting to show up on Kumasawa's forehead. She was also feeling uneasy. When he noticed, Butler realized that he wasn't just his imagination. Beto turned her back to Butler and stuck a corkscrew into the champagne bottle. Then she showed it to Butler. Father, congratulations on the completion of the 6th game, in the hope that you will prove victorious over your long-time rival, Frodo Erika. When presented with a champagne bottle and a sound like that, anyone would think that the cork had been pulled out. However, it wasn't the cork, it was the bottom of the bottle. The high-quality champagne that Beto has procured splashed out all over the floor and the dress. Then the same sound repeated several more times. Each time one of the plates of food on the table was knocked into the air. Father, did you find the food displeasing? Oh non, ça me fait de la peine. Bébé Béatrice, non. Bébéatrice. No. Who are you? I'm Beatrice. I was born for your sake, Father. That's not right. Huh? Who is this? This isn't Beto. And anyway, don't call me Father. What's going on here? What is this? Didn't I agree with Beto? Kenji, what's this all about? My apologies, but that is indeed Beatrice-sama. Are you kidding me? Who is this supposed to be Beto? She's totally wrong or fake. No, this is Beatrice-sama. This is without a doubt Beatrice-sama, who was born in accordance with the rules of the game board. This isn't anything like Beto. Beto will always talk in that weird way and laugh rudely and... No, this is most certainly Beatrice-sama herself. Then why is she talking like that? Why is she calling me father? Beatrice-sama was only born a short while ago. It would be far too cruel to expect her to act as she once did so soon. Are you saying that her memory hasn't returned yet? Master, this person truly is Beatrice-sama herself. However, she is not the Beatrice-sama you know so well. What are you talking about? I'm the Game Master, right? Why can't I revive Beato? Beatrice-sama is revived. However, the old Beatrice-sama lived for 1,000 years. This Beatrice-sama, on the other hand, was only born a short while ago. If she appears to be a different person, well, that just can't be helped. Then how can I revive that Beato? Her body is right here. How can I revive her soul? If she lived the same 1,000-year life again, she should become the same Beatrice-sama she was before. You're telling me to wait 1,000 years? A person's personality isn't decided solely by their birth. It can change drastically based on how they live and what they experience. Do you understand? Even though she's in the same battle, she's not the same. I get it. Even if you had two of the exact same person, they could change enormously depending on their upbringing. Even though they might both be the same human to start with, their upbringing could change them so much that they effectively become two completely different people. Usually we use the term person to refer to a person, not their personality. However, since humans recognize a person by their personality, those two might as well be different people from a human perspective. That's so true. The tragedy 12 years ago that happened, this little lady of ours might be a cute girl who could smile without looking weird. Qu'est-ce qui se passe là dans le monde réel? Je suis complètement perdu. That's rude. I'm plenty cute as it is. I understand. Your personality, what makes a person is in our eyes. We'll probably say that the second personality represents a different person entirely, even if it inhabits the same flesh body. At the very least, I'm a completely different person that I used to be 12 years ago, and if my family had come home 12 years ago, then the orange that resulted would surely be a completely different person from me. Even a single human can become a different person. In fact, depending on their upbringing and endless possibilities, they can become an endless number of different people. So just because this is Beato, that's no guarantee that she'll become the Beato that Oni-chan knows so well. And on top of that, Beatrice is a witch who lived 1,000 years. People can die and be reborn in just 3 days. 1,000 years is such a huge amount of time. It seems it requires a skilled reader. For most of my readers would be necessary to spend several hundred pages to explain how a single person can become different people depending on their upbringing and time. Don't underestimate your readers, we aren't just reading. We read and we think. If I make 100 people read it, about 90 will be able to. However, only 50 will actually understand what it means, and not even 20 will actually think beyond that. And all I ask is that they think it over a bit. Nothing more than that. However, it seems that you are one of the precious 20 readers. That's why I invited you here, child of man. It's seriously hard to like this Achijo Toya person. Je comprends pas pourquoi. Vas-y, je pense qu'il faut juste jouer en fait. If it although she contained somewhere very similar to say in those message bottles. Speaking metaphorically, one might call it a scent, an indescribably unique and stern atmosphere, like a stuffy library. The Beatrice who wrote the message bottles and Achijo Toya are different people, and yet this has the same scent at that tale. I see, this is why some of those curious witch hunters are so intensely devoted to her. Their keen sense of smell was able to sniff out that familiar scent. Very well then, please continue reading. There could be nothing more entertaining than watching your face as you glance over the words. That and speaking with you. I guess it's true that writers are always starving for opinions on their work. However, sorry to disappoint you. I don't have time to read all the way through this thick manuscript. More importantly, and yet you have plenty of time. Both the second and the pendulum of the ornate clock behind that Chijo have been moving the whole time. However, absolutely no time has passed for a while now. Only about 3 minutes had gone by since the time she had entered the room. See? Time isn't one of your problems. That sort of time will chase you away until you finish reading. Next page, lady, next page. Amakusa badgered me to turn the page, so return to the world of the tale once more. Why does her chair have the same scent as Beatrice's, I wonder? Is it because she actually has reached the truth as she claims? Does this mean that anyone who knows the truth will create an endless number of message bottles? Is that how the cat box will works? I see. I guess she might also be an endless witch. In fact, maybe anyone who knows the truth can become an endless witch. An endless tale created by the endless witches. The 2 days starting on October 1st, 1996, when my family is being toyed with endlessly. I have to end it. I have to find a hint of the truth from the within this story and end this endless tale. What do you think, Beato? What's the 6th game I've made? Well, you're not the type to give me an honest compliment anyway. You'd probably say something more like, not bad for an incompetent fool like you. Not bad for an incompetent fool like you. Hey, now that I've seen what it's like to be a game master, it's pretty clear. I wasn't the only one who had it rough each and every game. Creating a game is far from easy. I certainly never expected us to recognize each other's effort like this. Creating a game is far from easy. I certainly never expected... Ok, il est dans sa paranoïa. Il essaye de la faire agir comme il veut qu'elle soit alors qu'elle est complètement perdue, genre, c'est horrible. Butler, tu es une horrible personne. Or wrong, this isn't Beato. Butler slammed hard on the desk, but the piece Beato showed no reaction. After all, Butler hadn't ordered her to react. It would be easy to revive that Beato as a piece. However, it would only move according to Butler's wishes. Having a conversation with it was not different from talking to himself. The Game Master could summon any kind of piece. He could move those pieces in any way he wanted, renewing themselves gods. However, for that very reason, they were just pieces. That made it unbelievably lonely and sad. You created many kinds of furniture, as well as several tales in the past. When I saw that, I was sure you were having a great time doing it. But that's all wrong. You were unbelievably lonely. I must have been such a relief for you, having an opponent like me who could actually go against you. Yes, I'm painfully aware of that now. That sweet, polite Beato really was you, wasn't she? The way you were 1,000 years ago. And yet she's a different person. The way she looked just like you is what I really can't get over. I can't stand it. However, she isn't a piece, so she can go against my will. Beato is much more alive than a piece like you. I get that. And it's all wrong. That isn't you. She's a completely separate person, like a long-lost little sister or something. And that's why I just can't accept her. As much as she hated the pieces version of Beato, Butler felt an even stronger dislike for the chick Beato. Even after her whole 1,000 years. She still wouldn't become the original Beato. Even if she were ordered to act like the original Beato. It would just be an imitation. This was a very similar but separate person and definitely not Beato herself. So in the previous game, Beato really did disappear for all eternity? Even after becoming the game master, there was no way to revive her. Ah, love. Love at how pathetic I am. C'est horrible. En vrai, c'est horrible. Vraiment horrible. Just give it a rest already. You're just an illusion who won't laugh unless I order it, and can't even continue to laugh until I keep on ordering it. Just disappear. C'est... Le début de chapitre, il fait flipper, hein. Il est atroce, hein. Putain, Hope. On Rokenjima this day, or rather this round, was the same as any other. The typhoon will be coming very soon. The sky was still overcast, but the clouds were moving quickly. The only thing on Natsui's mind was the plan to cover up Kinzo's absence again this year. Kors appeared to have suffered a stomachache from the stress and was sleeping in his room. Jessica and Kumasawa had left in the boat to go shopping and greet the incoming relatives on Nijima. Servants had been busy since the early morning preparing for the family conference, the greatest event of the year. Shannon and Cannon were rushing to get the guest house key. If the relatives are going to stay the night, shouldn't guest room in the mansion be more than enough? Good point. It's a pain to clean up this place too, after all. Even so, I like cleaning the guest house. Yeah, it's nice and quiet without madam and all the annoying servants. Shannon smiled really as she performed a detailed examination of the guest room. Did you forget to clean anything? Do we need to restock anything? She diligently gave the room one final check over. You checked everything thoroughly last night too, didn't you? You really are dedicated. It's days like this that you tend to get pranked if you're careless. You can't never find important things when you need them, and things that were supposed to be closed turn to be open. That's because you're too careless. You don't pay attention while you work. I guess that's why you're helping me check. Thanks. There's nothing to thank me for. If you were a bit more alert, I wouldn't have to help at all. But you actually just want to be with me, right? You're such a kid. Not it at all. It's all because you've been so ecstatic about George-sama lately. You're messing up so much, I can't let you out of my sight. Come on, Kun, let's chat a bit. We can't do that now, we're working. Keep making fun of me and George-sama, but where is going between you and Jessica-sama? Nothing's going in particular. If you have time to talk about that, let's just finish this. Oh, Karen had very obviously been trying to change the subject. Sharon then snuck up behind him and pushed him down onto the bed. So why did you turn down my lady when she asked you to go up with her to welcome the relatives? Because they have work to do. A liar. You don't actually have work at all. Shannon and Cannon had switched roles. Normally Cannon was the one in control, but when it came to romance, it was the opposite. As Shannon has said, Jessica and Cannon were supposed to have been the ones to go greet the relatives at the harbor in Ninjima. However, Cannon has suddenly claimed that he had work to do, so Kumasawa had gone instead. Cannon didn't have any work to do. Shannon knew this. My lady told me, despite what happened after the Cultural Festival, she really does like you, Cannon-kun. Even though I'm furniture. That's right, and I'm furniture too. But despite that, you're in love with a human. Even so, you can't do that. Do you think so? Maybe we're furniture, just because we take that for granted. I don't have any special feelings for my lady Jessica. I only think of her as the daughter of the family we serve. Really? Really? What? You know, there is a chance that George-sama will propose to me tonight. Shannon wore an incredibly peaceful smile on her face, but Cannon could tell that there was no way she'd let him change the subject. Cannon realized that she must have made this about her at the guest house in order to talk to him about this, and he clicked his tongue softly. Do you really think you can marry a human even though you're furniture? I think I can. It won't work. Why not? That dream future that George-sama had imagined for you two, something you can never give him. Well, we aren't humans, we're furniture, inferior to them. George-sama only thinks that you're human. Well, that is true, but I'm impressed that you've managed to keep him full this long. Do you really think you can keep tricking him like that forever? Even so, you still haven't been able to tell him that you're furniture? Being furniture or being human has nothing to do with this. I believe that George-sama will accept everything about me. And yet you don't have the courage to check and make sure. You know what? I think I'll accept his proposal. As Shannon looked up at the ceiling, she spoke of the imagined future that she and George would create. Like some anxiety over the future appeared on her face, so did the joy of knowing what it was to like with love. As Shannon watched his vivid dream it was being shown, he knew that none of this world would reach Shannon anymore. Huh, you can just do what you want. Once you've said you'll do something, you can be incredibly stubborn. Yep, I want to live for my own way. I'd like to stop being afraid that I was furniture and I was human. Cannon walked over to the window silently. He saw the rose garden filled with boring grey flowers in bloom. He realized that Shannon was acting above the place, and he knew that her tale had no chance of a happy ending. However, he also knew that no words of his could change her mind now that she had made her decision. In that case, it doesn't matter what I say. If I tell you to stop, you won't listen. If I tell you to do what you want, you'll do what you want. Why are you talking to me about this? It's not like you care what I have to say. What I want to know is how you feel about my lady. You have nothing to do with the two of you. Do you really feel absolutely nothing for my lady? I don't, as I keep telling you. Liar. What makes you think that's a lie? I can tell. I'm your niece, aren't I? You don't know, you can't know what I'm feeling. I do. I know everything about you, Cannon-kun. If you really do know, then why did you ask? Your head and your heart are completely filled by George-sama, aren't they? And it's that sincerity of yours that I love. That's why I'm rooting for you in the only way I can. Otherwise, even I wanted to love my lady. Then finally turned to face her, honestly and openly telling her all he really felt. That was what Shannon had wanted to hear. And after hearing that, she pressed Cannon even further to reveal his true feelings. You can't leave it at that. I won't let you. And what should I do? What do you want me to say? Don't try to dodge by saying I wanted to love her. All you need to do is honestly tell me what you really feel. My lady is too dazzling for me. The way she lives is dazzling like the sun. That's why I love her. I was so happy when my lady stretched out her hand and asked me to walk with her. No, still I'm happy. You love her, don't you? Yes, I do. I love my lady. Finally, Cannon confessed his feeling in their entirety. In fact, by saying it aloud, he finally understood how he truly felt. As passionate tears welled up in his eyes, Cannon finally accepted it. He couldn't stop the tears from dripping down his face. Both of us are exactly the same, locked up on Rokkenjima and living without any hope at all. And yet, my lady was able to light her own path and create her own fate. She was so dazzling that I invited her. I felt so I could be with her. I could find my true self instead of being the pitiful person I am now. When you turned down my lady's confession, were you sad? I was. I never realized that the lie you make to yourself could be so sad, so painful, so excruciating. I couldn't forgive myself for urging my lady with that lie. La musique est trop bien. I believed that I didn't have what it takes to even fall in love again. But it wasn't true. Do you know what's needed to fall in love? Something you can get from anyone but yourself. Being furniture or not has nothing to do with it. If you decide for yourself that it won't work out, then it won't. You mustn't leap such rigid conclusions. That's why I'm ambitious furniture than I am. I gave myself what needed to fall in love. So you have it too, Cannon-kun. You mean I have what it takes to fall in love? Yes. If you won't give it to yourself, I'll give it to you. Thank you. I feel as though I can finally see the sea. Direct comme ça. Ça c'est la game de Battler full of love, ça. Je reconnais. I'm certain of it. George-sama will propose to me tonight. Comme toutes les games. When he does, I will accept. I intend to leave this island and start a new life in our new world. If that's the path you've chosen, then I have no say in the matter. I leave this island and after that I never return again. I have to say farewell to you, Cannon-kun. You're right, we won't see each other again, will we? If you do love my lady from the bottom of your heart, and if your feeling is at least as strong as my feelings for George-san, then you and I will have to settle whose feelings are really stronger. His son. This way is best for both of us. Don't give up on your feelings for my sake. Even though my selfishness might keep you from your happiness, I realize that same thing about myself. I know that my happiness will bring you pain. We have no choice but to hurt each other. She said this, Shannon turned her back to Cannon. As Cannon watched Shannon from behind, he was struck by her strength and the love she still felt for him despite everything. Listen, living with you made me happy. Me too. I wouldn't have lasted this long without you. And that's why I was able to meet George, son. Yeah, and I wouldn't have realized how dazzling my lady is if it weren't for you. I won't abandon the way I feel. I focus on that feeling alone, ignoring everything else, and I won't look away when I trample over your heart. Me too. I won't use you as an excuse to hide the way I really feel. Whether my love bear fruit, or yours does, we'll both support the victor. Yes, I promise. And if I win, I will love my lady and treasure you. Thank you. But if I win, I forget you and this island and leave this place forever. Yes, whichever of us win, that person will pursue the love with all they've got. Even if they know that love will be unrequited. C'est vraiment le Game of Love de Battler, c'est vraiment Game Full of Love. Yes, after all by now, we're not furniture. Direct comme ça, avant le début de la game carrément. C'est très surprenant. Save. The boat carrying the relatives docked at the harbor. They left the boat one by one, making fun of Battler. God, I wasn't the only one to greet them. Ken was there too. It's been quite some time, everyone. Allow me to welcome you to Rokanjima. I hope that your long journey went smoothly. Welcome to Rokanjima. Ah, good, good. God, I complimented Ken in a whisper. Ken ignored this, looking just a little sour, and continued to greet the incoming relatives. This is your first time meeting Goda-san and Kanan-kun, isn't it, Battler-kun? It's my first time meeting Battler too. Goda-san's a great chief. He's the only reason anyone's ever want to come to this island. I'm most honored. Atlas-sama, I do hope that you look forward to your meals during your stay. I can't wait. I'm counting on you. Long time no see, Kanan-kun. You seem to be in high spirits today. That's great. You think so? Oh yes, your face is looking brighter today. Maybe it's your complexion, or maybe it's that your gaze look a bit more gallant. Ah, it must be a growing phase. That's how a boy becomes a man. You usually look as though you were about to pass out from anemia. You're a bit different today. You've got some spunk. A boy can change a lot in just 3 days. I guess this means even Kanan-kun getting a bit more manly. We aren't making fun of you, okay? We're all complimenting you. Ken has sworn to start changing the way he lived bit by bit. However, he had only meant to change within himself. I didn't expect that he would show on the outside. He was a bit shocked to hear that his expression had changed so much. People had apparently noticed as soon as he opened his mouth. No, maybe the real surprise was his normal expression must look so incredibly sullen in comparison. C'est vraiment la game de l'amour de Battler, hein. Goda led the way up to the guest house. Ken brought up the rear, helping to carry some of the Kumasawa's shopping. Does my face really look that bright today? Oh, it looked like it would to me as well. Did something good happen? Even Kumasawa was seeing it. Kanan, unable to see what his own face looked like, hung his head in embarrassment. When they reached the rose garden, they could see the others streaming into the guest house. Then we saw Jessica running towards him from there. Is even my lady Jessica going to say that I'm in a good mood today? Kanan hung his head even deeper, and so Amasa saw he couldn't control himself. Kanan spoke first. J'ai Skeltan! Bim bim bim! Qu'est-ce que tu faisais de beau, Skeltan? C'était déjà un stream IRL là ou pas? J'ai pas fait gaffe. C'est pour le raid en tout cas. Bah c'est UMINEKO donc faites pas trop gaffe. On n'est pas sur Mario là. Pas de son. Ah. Merci. Merci à ceux qui sont IRL d'ailleurs. J'espère que votre séjour se passe bien. Et voilà. Moi je continue mon Mineko, j'essaye de finir, histoire de pouvoir reprendre Mario fast. Voilà. GG pour Mario Party, Milo. Ça m'étonne pas, t'es un tryharder, toi, t'as dû faire des méta et tout. T'es comme Sonar, toi. Je te vois bien être un gros traître à Mario Party, genre. Ah mais attends, mais Skelton, faut mettre la rediff, faut que j'aille voir vos têtes. Il a la rediff, Skelton, ou pas? Attends. Vidéo. OMG. Ah bah alors là, je vais me faire une petite rediff après, je crois. Comment ça, t'es bien pas là? Et comment t'as pu jouer à Mario Party IRL? Ah, t'as fait le mec mystérieux. Ok, ok. Mais je suis sûr que t'es un gros traître à Mario Party, toi. Je te sens comme ça. Bah, bref, en tout cas, amusez-vous bien. Moi, je continue un peu au Mineko avant d'aller tester Black Ops, là. Et puis voilà. Ah bah la luck, ça joue beaucoup sur Mario Party. Par contre, question, pourquoi avoir joué au 3 et pas, genre, au 4, 5, 6 qui sont des bangers sur GameCube, genre. C'est ma... Ah, même surtout, vous êtes sur une 64, j'imagine. Ah bah dommage. Fallait être meilleur, c'est pas grave. Bref, amusez-vous bien, en tout cas. Do I really look that different? Ah. Oubliez le jeu Switch, non mais ça c'est pas possible par contre. Well, you know, you aren't really the type to come out and say hello if you're on a card. That's probably why everyone was surprised. I apologize for not going with you earlier, my lady. Huh? Oh, don't worry about that. I'm the one who's sorry for asking you to come all the way out to Nijima with me to meet everyone. I know how busy you must be today. C'est vraiment la game de l'amour, hein. Battler, qu'est-ce qui nous accouple là? I didn't have anything in particular to do. You were just so dazzling that I couldn't bear to be with you. I was just weak. Shika faltered, uncertain what Kenan was talking about. However, she realized that this was something too important to be lost of. Did something happen, Kenan-kun? Shannon says she's going to get married. I see. So Jordan isn't going to propose this time after all. Chica thought Cannon was sad because Shannon would be leaving, that this new mental state had caused the change in his behavior. And Cannon realized that Jessica was probably thinking this, so he spoke to her clearly and honestly. Because he wanted her to know. I decided that I would stop working here if Nissan never quit. I know. So are you going to quit too, Gallantine? I'm not sure anymore. I felt that if I quit, I might lose sight again of something he revealed to me, shining like the sun. Shika could only stare blankly, unable to understand what he was saying. However, she did realize that he was trying to tell her something important. And so she was able to accept that his next word was neither a lie nor a joke. My Lady Jessica. Waouh. Attends, mais on est vraiment... C'est la game... Game of Love, genre. My Lady Jessica, I love you. I love you too. You live your life like the sun, and I want to try walking that path alongside you. I have a feeling that with you I'll be able to break free from the me that I despise as furniture. You aren't furniture, Kenan-kun, and you weren't born just so could you become a servant. A boy your age should be enjoying life much, much more. I'm dazzled too. You're so dazzling I can hardly see. This is how I truly feel. I'm sorry for trying to hide it for so long. I apologize for hurting you on that day in my cowardice. It's okay, just hearing you say that makes me happy. So, since I want to always be with you, I plan to stop being furniture. I ask that you give me some time to do that. Please forgive this last bit of weakness. There's nothing weak about you. You've shown me that you have the incredible courage to change yourself from the way you used to be. So I support you until the end, and I won't rush until you're ready. If I'm the sun lining your path, that's because I wanted to shine more brightly than anyone else, so that you'd look only at me. Without you, there's no way I become anything like a sun. So I'll wait, no matter how long it takes. Thank you, my lady. My lady's a bit stiff, don't you think? May I call you by your name? Sure. Oh, but only when we're alone, okay? Otherwise, it might make things tough for you. Good point. Lisa and George Sam are doing the same, it seems. If Shannon hadn't been about to get engaged, you wouldn't have said what you said just now, right? Karen hung his head at loss for words for some time, but it was true. If Shannon hadn't told him about the engagement, he probably wouldn't have been having this conversation at this moment. Yes, because of that I was able to think long and hard. Oh, come on, you heard about Shannon and you wanted to see what love felt like yourself, right? Yes. That's a pretty straight answer. Well, when I watched those two, I was pretty jealous myself. In truth, I wasn't quite like that, for either of them, they'd been shown the courage needed to speak up and tell the one you love how you feel. That's why I pushed both Ken and Jessica forward. So what should I call you? Jessica works fine. Just saying it like that would be a bit embarrassing. So you can use San at least at first? I'll try it out, come on. Jessica-san. Good, I'll do for now. And I'd like to call you by your name, Canon-kun. You have a real name beside Canon, don't you? I bet it has the character on in it, like Canon does. What could it be? My name is Yoshia. On l'a pas su pendant 6 chapitres, ça sort comme ça. Nickel. Oh, how is it written? Jessica tried tracing out various characters on the palm of her hand. Then Canon used his own finger to write out his name on her hand. He wrote it as... So you're Yoshia-kun? That's a great name. I thought it better than my weird name. That's not true. My Lady Jessica has a wonderful name. Hey, say it again. Huh? My Lady Jessica has... One more time. My Lady Jessica has a wonderful... is something wrong? No big deal. Thanks, Yoshia-kun. The red flowers on the rose garden seemed to celebrate the two lovers whose feelings had finally connected. The scene was watched by one not human who gazed at quietly from beneath the rose garden arbor. Butler, la game de l'amour qu'il est en train de proposer là. Come to think of it, those two had never called each other by any names until now. Jessica hadn't known Canon's true name. Canon hadn't called Jessica by her name. When people call each other by name, they acknowledge the words of the other soul. That's why names are sacred. When you've been given permission to say someone's name, it means they're acknowledged to your soul. Is that why Father wants me to call him by his name? No, that's probably wrong. It's a sound. When Father sees me, it reminds him of that other me, the past me, and I'm sure that me called Father by name. Allez, Beato, tu vas réussir. I'm sure that me called Father by name. However, that probably doesn't mean Father will be happy to hear me call him by his name. After all, I am me and not the Beatrice Father knows well. What can I do to help Father? How can I be useful to him? After all, that's the only reason I was born. Hanging her head, Beatrice sat all alone in the Golden Lens arbor next to the rose garden, as she was watched by the witch of theater going and her Miko as they sat across from each other. Poor kid. I never thought I'd see you feel compassion for Beato. It'd be too cruel to call this Beato and the former Beato the same person. They're completely different people. Maybe that, but the rule this Beato is the Beato. However, saying that will be horribly unfair to her. Atlan must be very depressed throughout things and I'm this way after reviving his former rival. I sort of get on each chance despair, but I can understand how this kid feels too. No person can become a replacement for another, not even the past version of that same person. Compared to the young boy and girl who had found a new version of themselves by calling each other by their true name, this witch looked very feeble. The witch knew that she was an illusion created in the image of the person she once was, and she also knew that it would be only her battler if she went to try and pretend to be that person. And despite all of that, this Beata wants to be useful to battler. How admirable. Is that the purpose for the witch known as Beatrice? That is what she claims. She said that she was created to be of service to battler. So a Beata who was born for Onichan's sake eventually commits a serial murder and drags Onichan into a bizarre game that she calls eternal torture? I don't get it. I believe you also understand that one can become a different person over 1,000 years. At the very least, Beatrice was once a pure creature who was born from battle's sake. It's also very clear that, in her current feeble state, she doesn't possess any of the courage or motivation needed to bring about such fearsome serial murders. That means the sinister witch we all know must have changed during the 1,000 years since her birth. We keep getting this 1,000 years business, but I get the feeling that those words are just a metaphor for a long time in the world of witches. As you get closer to the world of gods, the concept of time becomes increasingly vague. 6 years can become 1,000 years can be nothing more than a quick nap. One can fit an eternity long enough to be deserving of the title 100 years old witch in a mere 2 weeks. In other words, the pure Beato transformed into the cruel Beato, during 6 years that could be called 1,000.
Ça veut dire qu'il a créé Béatrice avec son signe. C'est ce qu'on a sous-entendu. Et que c'est devenu ça en si peu de temps.
So does that mean something bad happened during the 6 years that made her hate Onichan? Doesn't make sense. During those 6 years, Onichan not only stayed away from Okanjima, even stopped using the Ushiromiya name. He had nothing to do with that change. Her hatred has gone to be totally misguided. Oh, so this is where you were. Shall I make you some black tea? Kumasawa-san, there's something I'd like to know. Oh, very well, what is it? My name is Beatrice, isn't it? Yes, that is correct. You are Beatrice Sama, my lady. However, the Beatrice that father talks about isn't me. Well, I think father wanted me to be that person. I think that might be why he was disappointed, because no matter how much I look like her, I'm a different person. That isn't true. You are you, Beatrice Sama herself. You have merely lost your memory of the past after being newly reborn. Even without your memory, you are still Beatrice Sama. You are the same person whom the master loves. So then, how can I regain those memories? Well, Meta looked at Kumasawa with hopeful eyes, as so praying that she would tell her the way. Kumasawa averted her gaze unhelpfully, as so trying to say that she liked to, if only such a way existed. If I can't regain those memories, can't you at least tell me what kind of person the Beatrice's father loved was? That much I can tell you, but I was born for father's sake, so I want to become the golden witch Beatrice that father desires.
Elle utilise la red trousse déjà.
Beatrice Sama, I cannot use magic. However, if the witch father desire could use it, then I will learn. I want to become the witch he desires. That's the only way I can repay father for creating me. That's admirable. Without the 1,000 years gone wrong, she raised an incredible kid. A chick of a witch, very interesting. I've taken a liking to her, Ange. I shall allow this chick to make use of my library. Let's open the door that leads back to the world of witches. So you're going to make her read aloud the stories about her previous self? Yes, I want to know too. The creation story of the Golden Witch Beatrice. Very well, if you wish it. Then let us open the door once more. Kumasawa-san. A golden splash welled up around them. It was a cloud of gold butterflies. With a flash of gold, the form of the old lady transformed into that of a witch in a dress. You must choose the path that you are to walk down. Let's call it Path of Roses. The beautifully blooming roses may encourage you and the thorns may torment you, but even so it is a path that you walked down before. You may pass through the same 1,000 years. You may pass through a different 1,000 years. You wish you may even return back the way you came. I'll move on forward. I don't want to spend 1,000 years in this garden drinking tea. I, Beatrice, I want for father's sake. So I want to live for father's sake. Please tell me about the Golden Witch. And Great Witch spread her arms, communicating the other unbending determination to the brilliant heavens. At that moment a brilliant light covered the two of them, and before they knew it, they were a strange study. There sat the master of this library, the great old witch, and her Miko. Usually I give a deep and elegant bow. It is the greatest of honor to be in your presence, Lady Featherin Augustus Aurora, the majestic witch of theatre-going, drama, and spectating. Raise your head, child of man. I shall give the child the privilege of using my library however she likes for a time. Ange my Miko, you will to see her to her needs. Sure, as you wish, my master. You know you could just say, let me read your story. Miko of the Witch of Theatre-going. I leave Beatrice in your care. Pleased to meet you. The Beatrice you're trying to become was suffering for something in her own way. At the very least, you've been released from that for the time being. Will you really go on a journey to regain those shackles? Ce qui est fou, c'est que Ange a été envoyé dans son voyage par Berncastel, et là, Béatrice va être envoyée dans son voyage pour redevenir elle-même par Ange, quoi. Enfin, pas vraiment par elle, mais... La boucle. I want to become the Golden Witch. That is the reason I was born. I, the endless and infinite witch, Publius Virginia Maro, ask that you made her journey through purgatory a pleasant one, granting her your protection. Oh. Let it be known that the Miko of the Witch of Theatre-going and as the Endless Witch and Apprentice Witch of Resurrection, I, Ange Beatrice, do humbly accede to your request of whatever. Featherin snorted. So you also bear the name of Beatrice? That's right. I know a lot about you. Please teach me. What kind of person was I? Sure. And I want you to teach me. Why did you become the person you were? Ça va être très intéressant, ça. In this library, the fragments showing the tales of all your games up until now are stored as books. By reading them, you should be able to learn everything that had happened before now. By reading them, can I become a Golden Witch? To become a Golden Witch, one must solve the epitaph of the gold. And this trial cannot be skipped, not even by Beatrice herself. I'll do my best. So please let me read the books in this library. As admirable as ever. Why are you so set on ending up like that again? I do not know what I was like then. However, if that me can be fused to father, I want to become it. Ange sighed resignedly. No word would stop this girl's feeling of respect. Ange was the Miko of the Witch of Theatre-going. Il y a un côté méta qui est très bizarre. We do nothing but watch over the stage. That's right. They weren't actually interfering with the play. It was just a bit of directing to shine the spotlight onto the tale of Beato's past. Even this was nothing more than the Witch of Theatre-going watching a play. If you read, you will learn what kind of person the whole Beatrice was. However, you must decide what you will take from that experience. You are free to stay in this library or leave it or even return to it again later. In exchange, I will watch you play. You watch my play? Basically, it means you can do whatever you want. Thank you very much. Go. She likes it when you call her Featherin. Thank you very much, Featherin-sama. After being welcomed in by Featherin, Beato left on a journey to discover herself. That tale connected the old tale with the new one, wove them together. The ring of that snake began slowly, bit by bit, to turn into the shape of a small island floating on the sea. And that was Rokenjima. The 1,000 years of the witch born on this island were tied to the island. Was it 1,000 years or just 6? Or did this tale start even further back into the past? Mercedes went on a journey to find herself. The wind had been strengthening since a while back. The breaking wave had grown fierce. The ferry most probably wouldn't be coming for a while now. The crashing thunder told that the island had been sealed off from the outside world. A thick rain poured down, mocking the fools outdoor who had to rush practically to find shelter. No longer would anyone be able to leave this island, and no longer would anyone be able to reach this island. No one unless blessed with a miracle. Bah, genre Erika par exemple. There was another flash of lightning. The regions of all who saw it were filled with white. As that white faded away, a neary shadow pulled itself up amidst the raging water of the beach. I thought, suddenly remembering to do so, it coughed violently several times, fiercely spitting about the sea, water that had filled his stomachs. She then tore apart the touch fastener of her life jacket, and threw down the reason she'd been able to float here without so much as a thank you. Oh, le son. Welcomed in by a storm, Sam as always, very good. Yes, come and entertain me, Battle-san. Hop, 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 hop. J'ai presque envie de m'arrêter là, mais ça fait peu quand même. Mais c'est une bonne intro, quoi. Hmm. Je continue un petit peu, et on va voir. News of the drifter for the Erika quickly spread across Rokenjima. Erika had been welcomed in politely, and it was decided that she would be treated as a guest until the typhoon passed. In the dining hall, Goda's wonderful dinner had ended, and everyone was relaxing and enjoying some after-dinner coffees and cheese. Apparently, Butler was a bit relieved that Erika had come and turned into a good scapegoat. It drove away some of the attention he'd been getting piled on him from finally coming back after 6 years. In fact, she turned out to be very talkative. When the conversation turned to a sophisticated discussion of the mystery genre, even the adults were drawn in. She was apparently so well versed that even Nenjo, who had a vast knowledge of the subject, was impressed. Oh, good point. A strange family in a Western mansion on an isolated island during a storm. Now that we have a detective stopping by to take shelter from the rain, we'll have got the match of factor lined up. Have no fear. No matter how difficult the crime, I will solve it. Très sûr d'elle après ce qui s'est passé le chapitre d'avant quand même. Attends 2 secondes. C'est bon. That's a detective job. How reassuring. It almost sounds as though you want a bizarre crime to occur. I hope I don't have to play the part of the victim. Sure, you mustn't say such things. Well, the history of the human mystery genre is only about a century old. Its tricks and ideas are limited to a few reciprocal patterns, so there's nothing left to show. No matter what kind of impossible crimes or colossal murder might occur, it'll be nothing more than one of the same classes of tricks dressed up to look like something new. The only reason mysteries still make for popular books today is because self-proclaimed fans, those who work off pieces to get the knowledge and who have already read all the classic, mistakenly think that the classic trick they didn't know about. Through lack of proper study, it's actually something new and surprising. Everyone couldn't help but gape at this imposing claim. If an aged critic had said it, that wouldn't have been one thing, but to think that a young person like this could say it so boldly. Mystery is a genre that ended a half-century ago, at least as far as I'm concerned. However, thanks to countless ignorant fools, I get to play my part as a detective. By that argument, wouldn't it mean that romance was perfected back in Shakespeare's time, so everything after that isn't worth reading? Exactly. So if you just read Romeo and Juliet, it's the same as having understood all of romance. That's ridiculous. It's not like there's any need to read more books than everyone else just for its own sake, but on the other hand, you can't be so satisfied with just a few stories like that. Sticking to classics of the past and never reading anything new is a sign of excessive nostalgia, don't you think? That sounds to me like an excuse of old person who can't be bothered to read more. I see. I guess I'll need to read at least as much as you, or else I'd probably lose in an argument. Me? I don't read books. Butler chuckled, but Erica knew from the previous game that Butler was actually quite an avid reader, so his words felt like more of a challenge. If you're so confident in your reasoning abilities, you must be really good at quizzes and puzzles, right? Oh, right. Mara, didn't you bring a quiz book or something? Brought it. Realizing that Erica's arrogant statement had made the atmosphere a little more tense, George smoothly changed the subject. By now it was more than clear that she wasn't the cute guest she had appeared to be. Maria pulled the book off of a bag that had quizzes and puzzles written on it and started reading them to everyone. It looked like it might turn into a peaceful quiz party, but of course that isn't what happened. As a credit to all the big talk, Erica managed an impressive ratio of correct and immediate answers.
Ouais, j'enchaîne beaucoup laser parce qu'en fait, j'ai envie de finir le jeu assez rapidement. Et en fait, il est très long, tu vois. Il y a genre 160 à 180 heures de lecture. Et en fait, j'ai envie d'être à fond dedans, de le finir à fond. Et comme ça, après, je peux jouer à Mario à fond aussi, tu vois. Genre, parce que là, quand je jouais à Mario, j'étais en mode, je fais un peu de Mario, un peu d'UMINEKO, mais en fait, bah du coup, je faisais pas trop de Mario. Alors que si je finis UMINEKO, je vais avoir le champ libre. Et du coup, je fais pas moite-moite, je fais tout UMINEKO. Et après, je fracasse Mario, genre. C'est ça l'objectif, tu vois. Je pense que c'est mieux comme ça. Puis en plus, j'ai vraiment envie de savoir la fin, j'ai vraiment envie d'aller au bout, quoi. C'est vraiment une œuvre de fou, hein. No joke.
As a credit to all big talk, Erica managed an impressive ratio of correct and immediate answers. She took complete control, and her bragging began to escalate more and more. George slightly regretted the choice he'd made when changing the subject.
Ouais, bah normal, c'est dur d'être sur deux jeux en même temps. C'est pour ça, là, j'ai envie de vite revenir sur Mario dans pas trop longtemps, quoi. Il doit me rester 50 heures de lecture, des choses comme ça. Un peu moins peut-être, un peu plus. Mais c'est dans ces eaux-là, quoi.
George slightly regretted the choice he made when changing the subject.
Vas-y, merci, Lazir. Je vais peut-être passer en voc après, si jamais tu veux passer. Je vais jouer pas encore trop longtemps, là.
106 matches. No need to even write a tournament chart for it. The question, how many matches would you need for a tournament with 107 teams, was answered instantly by Erica. This is less of a puzzle than just a test of knowledge. There is a formula which shows that the number of matches is always the number of team minus 1. Well, if you just look at the example of showing 3 matches for 4 teams and 7 matches for 8 teams, it should be easy to figure out the pattern. Erica, that's awesome! Erica Oni-chan, right? Say it. Erica Oni-chan, that's awesome! Very impressive. So you don't call yourself a detective for nothing. I couldn't very well act the part of a detective if I was incapable of ending a puzzle of this sort. Incredible, I'm sure you'll be able to become a real detective in the future. But I'm pretty sure I already am one. The cousins all thought about the answers to the question, but Erika always answered first. Well, I thought it was a bit rude for Erika to say the answers out loud while people were still thinking, instead of keeping them to herself. But since Erika was a guest, she decided against mentioning it. In truth, Erika was perfectly aware of this when she answered the question instantly. Each time she would grin broadly at thought she was still haven't solved such an easy problem. A great detective like you shouldn't really need to take this too seriously, right? Good point. Even though they are just childish questions, I was getting a bit too serious. I'll take more care, so let's have the next question, please. Alright, I won't lose this time. Maria, next question. You have one large piece of cheese. A single slice with a knife can split it in 2 parts. So what is the lowest number of slices you can make to cut it into 8 parts? Oh, I know this one. So I guess I stay quiet this time. George, acting like the adult he was, set up a mood that would prevent people from answering right away, even if they knew the answer, in effect sending a warning to Erika. It seemed that Erika understood and she averted the gaze, snorting derisively. To make 8 pieces, 4 slices would be enough, right? That's dumb. It will hardly be a puzzle if that was the answer. Haha, that's right. They are usually set up so that the smaller number that you'd expect is the answer. But still, exactly could be done. Oh, got it. You can only do this because of cheese. True. If you try to do it with a birthday cake, there'd be a huge fight. That's right. You might be able to do this with cheese, but you'd never cut a cake like this. Huh? Well, if you know the answer, tell me I'm the only one who doesn't? Oh, I got it. Yeah, you've got to think three-dimensionally. Or even Jessica? I don't get it. What should I do? I know the answer. It's written right here. You don't know the answer until you looked, right? Get it, Battlegun. Comment ça? Des phrases qui sont bizarres. Hein? I see, I understand it as well. This is something you can do because it is cheese. Even Dr. Ninja gets it? Could it be, am I the only one who doesn't get it? I'm sure even your brain could be as flexible as cheese if you cooked it a little, Battleson. This isn't something like use 0 slice with the knife and break it apart with your hands, right? Of course not. It's impossible to get the cheese with anything other than a knife. Thinking of the cheese in 3 dimension. If that's hard, it might help to draw a picture on a paper napkin. So we have one large piece of cheese, right? And with a knife to make it 8 pieces. Can the knife only cut in straight line? Yes, that's right. The knife only cuts in straight lines. Oh, but here's a hint. You can only cut in a straight line, but you're free to cut it wherever you want. Try thinking of a bunch of ways to stick in it. You should probably try to think out of the box a bit. Go with what you've got, Battlegun. You have a large piece of cheese. How many times must you cut it with a knife to make 8 pieces? You could obviously do it in 4 cuts. Could it be done with even fewer cuts than that? Or in so far point to it being impossible specifically because it's cheese. If it was a birthday cake, you really wouldn't be allowed to do this. Cheese. Something you can do because it's cheese. Oh, I've got it! I was still a trick. This isn't something you could think up if your mind's all stiff and rigid. Seems like you finally hit on it. A full detector is the right answer. It's impossible to cut the cheese with anything except the knife, right? The knife can only cut in a straight line, right? There aren't any other rules, right? Right? Not really. Alright, then that's gotta be it. Whew, that was a tough one, almost like a riddle. You've just gotta get beyond cutting straight down from the top all the time. You make 2 cuts from the top to get 4 pieces. You keep it like that and cut across the sides, splitting it into upper and lower halves, you get 4 times 2 equal 8 pieces. An answer you can't reach unless you think 3-dimensionally. In other words, the correct answer is 3. Huh? Really? I thought the correct answer was 1. What kind of magic did you use? There's no way in the world you could manage it with 1. This isn't a riddle, it's just a normal math problem. Huh? Oh really? I thought of the 3-cut method right away, but I figured it was too easy, so I guess I tried to twist it too far. Atlas' answer is smaller than the one in the book. Is Butler right? Yes, he is. Butler's son is right. The correct answer is 1 slice. Butler was happy that someone had confirmed his answer. However, at some point, Erica's face had lost its cheeriness. You think that a human other than myself would give the answer 1, and that it be you of all people? Your answer was 1 to Erica. I guess you were still thinking out of the box. After all, it would be truly foolish to simply assume you knew what shape it was after hearing that it was a piece of cheese. That's impossible. Einstein got it wrong, didn't he? How could you cut into 8 pieces with less than 3 slices? Oh, foolish child of man. It says to get into 8 pieces, but nowhere does it say that they have to be of equal size. It's still impossible. Do you cut it with something other than a knife? The rules say that only the knife can cut it, and that the knife can only cut in a straight line. However, to turn it around, the rules do not say that anything besides that. In fact, the shape of the cheese is never specified. I see. When you all heard of a large piece of cheese, you thought of a flat cylinder like camembert or something. I was thinking about sliced cheese, like the kind you might put on your toast for breakfast. Because, you know, full blocks of cheese you'd cut with a knife or something I come across that often. The shape of the cheese isn't specified in the rules. A mistake by the ones who made the book? I imagine that there's a picture of a flat cylinder of cheese there in Maria's son's book. There is, right here. As Erica had guessed, the book Maria held an illustration of a piece of cheese just as Erica had described it. With cheese of this shape, 3 slices really will be the correct answer. You get it in the plus pattern from the top to make 4 pieces. Then get it from the side to double that and make 8 pieces. Bah c'est vrai en vrai. However, since this illustration had been shown, the interpretation of the cheese has been left to the answer. That's right. At the moment the problem was stated, no one said anything about how the cheese was shaped or how flexible it was. Putain, ça se bat pour une pièce de cheese là. Hein. Exactly. It seems that Battleson was the more flexible one when it comes to both brains and cheese. I don't get it. How does making it slice cheese let you cut it into 8 parts with a single knife slice? Why not try it with that paper napkin? Pretend it's sliced cheese. It's like this. You fold it accordion style. How many times do you need to fold it to make 8 sections? 6 times. To fold it accordion style, you alternate between upward and downward folds. Once you've done this 6 times, it looks like the size of an accordion. With normal cheese, it's break if you try to fold like this, but the rules say that the cheese can't break unless you use a knife, right? Yes, no problem there. After all, it's magic cheese that can only be cut by a knife. After folding it, if you start on the top and make a cut right down the middle. You're right, it will make 8 parts. Wait a sec, the parts aren't all equal this way, right? What the questioner said was to cut into 8 pieces. They didn't say anything about them being equal. Well, if you change the way you fold it, it is possible to make them as equal size, but I wouldn't want to confuse the stiff-headed people with the explanation. Oh. For a while, everyone was stunned. Butler had reached a far better answer than three by thinking of the problem as a riddle. Erica had already known both answers and had even spotted a mistake made by the book. The other could do nothing but stare at those two in surprise. Incredible, so what did the stiff-headed want? What an utter defeat. We were thinking in 3 dimensions, but it looked like Butler and Erica-chan were thinking in 1 dimension higher. It seems the game with the witch doesn't cheer you up quite a lot. Puzzles without specified rules in the other worlds, all things not covered by the red truth are left to the observer's interpretation. It's the most basic of methods of constructing gaps in the witch closed rooms. What are you talking about? Elle est en train de briser le 12e mur là. Is that a quote from some novel? Well, let's call it that for now, shall we? Anyway, I guess this means that everyone's brains are as stiff as rock hard cheese. Without any signs of restraint, Erica looked at everyone and laughed sarcastically. Only Maria didn't notice the venom in that laugh as she happily turned the next page. Then on to the next problem. You have 3 cups and 6 coins. Split up the coins so that there is 1 coin in 1 cup, 2 coins in another cup, and 3 coins in the third cup. Wait a sec, that's easy. Just stick 1 coin in the first cup, 2 in the next one, and 3 in the last one, and you're done. However, can you do the same thing with only 5 coins? Is another glitch problem. Don't tell me that you all need to waste several precious seconds on a problem like this. By now, Erika was gazing around with an unpleasant look, acting like a manner that was completely inappropriate both for a guest and for someone of her age. She was no longer a guest who would be staying until the storm passed. She had transformed into an annoying guest who wouldn't leave until the storm passed. Everyone thought this, but they were unable to say it aloud. Alright, speaking of problem with coins, I've heard that picking up coins is a good way of judging someone's skill with chopsticks. Chopsticks? Yes, chopsticks, that's right. Chopsticks are the most elegant instance on the planet. Poking things and chopping them up with forks and knives is so barbaric. Chopsticks are the best. For me, using chopsticks is truly an art. Tika was about to say iron chops and just sticks, but stopped herself just in time. She realized that it'd be best to let George take control for now. I have a coin here, so would you like to challenge me? I'm pretty good with chopsticks. That's right, we trained George very well with those. Indeed, table manners are a window into one's upbringing, and Erika-san uses them quite well, so I'll lend you some coins too. It'd probably be more fun with more of them. Jessica, watch closely and learn. Damn it. Alright, let's go. Let's see who can move the most coins over to the plate. Bring it on. Chopsticks, chopsticks! Complètement dingue, hein. This time, Joy has turned the conversation into a good direction. Everyone else understood and they helped to egg on the chopstick, find and change the subject. They are fully aware by now that Erika was extremely proud of her intelligence, and apparently she had the bad habit of using that to look down on other people. She spun chopsticks around with the deft end of a juggler, staring at the coins scattered on the table like a dog who had been told to stay after having a meal placed in front of it. The unsettling sound of the wind has now blended it with some sound of rain, mimicking the howl of some monstrous beast. Just when it seemed to be crying out sadly, it would suddenly turn into a roar and rattle the window, striking up even more fear and unease within me. Light from the hallway poured in through the thin crack of the slightly open door, and it seemed to carry with it laughter that was warm and happy but very distant. I'm sure everyone's in the dining hall or somewhere having a good time. I want to go there as soon as I can. I'm sure my family will be there. I hate being all alone in a place like this. Quoi? C'est pas Butler qui était dans cette pièce du coup, mais c'est quoi? C'est qui? Dad. Mom. I stubbornly tried again and again to get that door open, but the merciless chain just wouldn't let it open any further than that crack. On the contrary, feeling this close to a way out just made me more impatient. Gulping and trying to ignore the fear lurking behind me, I quietly closed the door. That light coming out the crack is just a trap. An iron shackle, making it look like I'm an inch away from freedom, so the door will never actually open. A shackle trapping me in here for all eternity. I need to get out of this creepy room as soon as possible. When I closed the door, all that filled the room was the eerie sound of a wind and rain. The way the wind picked up every now and then and shook the window frame felt like a monster in a cage shaking the bars. I was so scared of that monsters. I couldn't help but have my gaze from the window. For the search. If I can't get out the door, I need to find another way out. Just to the side of the door was a closet. There was only enough space inside to hang overcoats. Of course, it didn't connect to anywhere outside the room. If this were hide and seek, it'd probably be fun to hide in there. However, inside this creepy room, it had been no better than stepping into my own coffin. If I go there, maybe I'll find myself trapped in the closet next. This fear I didn't understand sent a massive shiver up my spine, and I closed the closet room in a hurry. There's one door left. When I opened it, there was a bath and a toilet. Of course, there was no exit. C'est tellement creepy cet endroit. Mais du coup, c'est qui? C'est pas. There weren't any window. If I turned the faucet, water would probably come out, then disappear down the drain and flow outside. But I couldn't get out that way. Unless I went into the bathtub with the stopper pulled out of the drain and smashed my flesh and bones to bits. I had the feeling that this was the only way out. The black stopper in the bathtub drain looked extremely terrifying. I tried a lot of things, both mentally and physically, but there really was no chance of me getting out through the bathroom. Next is the window. Beyond the window is a pitch black darkness. The fierce winds and rain are slamming against the glass. The darkness on the other side of the window may have been unsettling, but I didn't really care where I went, as long as it got me out of this room. However, the window was clamped shut. Right in the middle of the window, which was made to swing open like a set of double doors, were several ugly metal clamps. Et quoi? It was even more unnerving that the chain on the door, like a rough operation scar on some bizarre monster. The wind and rain slammed against the window frame, shaking it and making it creak loudly. However, unlike the door, this wouldn't open even a crack. I've had enough. Leave the rest already. What the hell's going on with this room? I've had enough of this creepy room. Enough, enough, enough. It's impossible to go outside except by the door and the window. And compared to the thick door, the window looks like it might be possible to break. I'll smash it. If I swing a chair at it, the glass will probably break. I might even be able to smash the wooden grid that rolled through the latticed window. All I need to do is make a gap large enough to slip out of. I grabbed the fancy-looking antique chair and hit it back to the window. Smash it. Over and over. The glass smashed with a violent sound and the frame groaned and crinked. Smash it. Over and over. If I can just break through the wooden grid. Damn it, what the hell? Even though the glass had been smashed apart, even though the cold rain that blew and tormented me, I just couldn't get that grid to break. Moi je pensais que c'était Battler dans la pièce, mais c'est pas possible du coup. They weren't iron bars, but just a slender wooden mesh. Even though it's fragile enough to make that creaking sound, why doesn't it break? No wait, maybe it's almost broken. What if I tried tucking it from a different angle instead of just smashing it head on? I stuck my left hand outside through the hole in the broken latticed window, grabbed the frame from the front with my right hand and tried to break it by shaking it around from both sides. My left hand started to grow ice cold from the frigid wind and rain. When I shook it, fragment of glass sticking out from the broken frame popped into me and my wrist was soon stained with blood. What if I can just get out of here? This much pain is no big deal. But I can't get out. I'm stuck. It won't open. I can't break it. The more violently I shook the frame, the more the glass fragments tore into my left wrist, causing me intense pain. Wait, what? Oh. Before I realized it, the glass fragments on the frame had extended outwards, so the tough as ugly beast was trying to shoo my hand off with glass teeth. It didn't just feel like those, they were growing outwards. They actually were getting longer before my very eyes, and they're showing my hands to bits. I tried desperately to pull my hand out, but it had already dug deep into my wrist and I couldn't move it. I put all my strength into it, but it just hurt more and more and the glass didn't even budge. What the hell? Damn it, let go! I hit the glass with my right fist over and over, but I just hurt my right fist and did nothing to raise my other hand. Just then, my left hand, which was still exposed to the rain outside, brushed against something slimy. What? I couldn't have been leaf blown about the wings or anything like that. I mean, it felt just like the touch of someone's rain-soaked hand. Then it closed tightly around my left hand. When I felt the 5 fingers, I knew that some person out in the darkness was touching my left hand. And yes, I know who it is. It's the witch. Terrifying witch who rules over Rock and Jim's night. The 2 hands soaked in the freezing rain gently caressed my left hand. However, though I could tell what was happening by touch, I couldn't see anything out there in the darkness. Then it fell about my fingers, and twisted my ring finger upwards. Oh, it's gonna break! At that moment, I saw something in the darkness for the first time. It was white. The darkness grinned and bared its white teeth. Then that mouth filled with eerily white teeth approached my finger that had been twisted up so far it was about to break, and opened wide. Must have been laughing at me from the darkness. After all, that creepy mouth was twisting upward in a huge grin. I had a horrible idea of what it might be trying to do to my finger. A shiver ran up my spine. I resisted as much as I could, but the fangs of glass just won't release my left hand. And then it gently bit my finger. Flesh and bone were crushed and torn apart in an instant. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Did you hear something just now? I think I heard it too. Sounded like a clunk. It's probably just the wind hitting a window. This is a beatable mansion after all. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. When I was abroad 6 years ago, I remember spending a lot of nights all scared that the witch really was walking around the mansion. She exists. Beatrice exists. What's all the other end of this hallway? There are guest rooms there, but they aren't being used now. Yeah, they're all at the guest house now. Until then, we will always stay in the guest rooms. Yeah, I remember too. When I stayed at the guest house today, I was surprised at how beautiful it was. Well, that's because it was just built. I wish I could move my own room over there. Shannon Erika-san's room is in the guest house too, right? Yes, we prepared a room for her in the guest house. And since the guest house is a good distance away from the mansion, no matter what kind of trouble happens, you can hear what's going on in one from the other. Are you still in detective mode? It sounds like you'll be all bummed when we will wake up tomorrow and manage to say good morning to each other. True, at least one of us had better be gone by tomorrow morning. Oh, right. Allow me to get you all to the guest house. The others were apparently about to begin a conversation that they didn't want the kids to hear. The real family conference was about to start. As the kids and Erika followed Shannon on their way to the guest house, they passed through the entrance hall. Looks like it's powering down at his hardest right now. Should we watch TV in the parlor until it dies down a bit? Mom, I said to go back to the guest house. We have to go or she'll get mad. I think we'll be able to relax a lot more over there. Other than getting to see and hear our parents get all pissed at us. Ouais, mais il y a quelqu'un dans la pièce là, et c'est pas Butler du coup. What the fuck? It looks like everything's falling into place. Erika giggled and opened an indiscreet look on her face. I'll go get some umbrellas for everyone. Please wait here. Oh, wait a sec. He's been bugging me for a while. Who's the woman in that portrait? Well, to be honest, I already know that it's Beato's portrait. Still, we only just walked past in the last game, which is no fun. Erika whispered to herself, but of course no one heard her. It is the Master's benefactor, Beatrice Sama. They say she gave grandfather a vast quantity of gold, meaning that she's thanked for the Uchumia family's revival. She's just a witch of grandfather's delusions. Supposedly her ghost walks in the corridor of the mansion every night. Hey, quit it. That story always freaked me out when I was little, and it always made this mansion feel terrifying after night fell. Alright, that's true. What about now, 6 years later? I'd totally forgotten, but looking at this portrait head on, I can feel that old fear coming back a bit. Beatrice isn't scary, and this as long as you respect her. If you don't... Right, Shannon? Oh, yes. And that rumor does exist among the servants as well. Rumors about servants patrolling at night, bumping into mysterious silhouettes or gold butterflies. Yeah, was it last year or the year before? Didn't one servant fall down some stairs and get so badly injured that they quit? Wasn't there a rumor that it was Beatrice's curse? She got told it like a ghost story trying to scare Erika, but Erika just lost distantly. Come on, that's creepy. It was probably just an accident, right? The coincidence. It happened just after grandfather had this portrait hung here, so it was probably the year before last. In fact, if I remember, the staircase that servant fell down, right? Yep. After all, this insanely huge portrait really stands out. Shortly after it was put up, everyone was talking about what it might be. And then when the accident happened shortly afterwards, people talking calling it Beatrice's curse. So this ghost stories about Beatrice started after the portrait was put on display? No. Rumors about Beatrice Sama's ghost walking about were around even before that. However, I do think those stories grew in number after the portrait was put here. But then, even though they had heard about the witch Beatrice, they didn't have an actual distinct picture in their heads of what she'd be like. I imagine that this portrait made that picture distinct for them, strengthening the rumors even more. So who started talking about this Beatrice witch in the first place? Grandfather. He'd always start freaking out and yelling, "My beloved witch Beatrice." But until we saw that portrait, we had no idea what she looked like. It's no surprise that you'd get one or two ghost stories with a creepy portrait like this hanging around. You always find ghost stories creeping up around things like a portrait of Beethoven in the music room or the statue of the school founder. C'est vrai. True, it wouldn't be strange for a few ghost stories to arise in an old gloomy mansion with the sound of wind and rain present in the background for so long. Well, it's nothing more than a ghost story, a delusion, a fairy tale, mostly than the useless drivel of a half-sleeping nitwit. Erika looked up at the portrait and smiled at it hostilely, as though she felt that the smile was disrespectful to Beato, Maria's face sword. You, Beatrice exists. If you say things like that, you definitely feel the curse of the witch. Oh, frightening. Please curse me if you can, Beatrice. So if we find you mysteriously dead next morning, we'll know it's the curtain raising on the witch murder case. But you're a detective, right? Wouldn't killing the detective off in the beginning be a bit too radical? Ah, that would be troubling. That would get in the way of the crime scene inspection. I see, after all, even the Nox world won't prohibit the detective being killed. I have just what you need. It's a charm that protects you from Beatrice's curse. A charm? You have a charm from something like that? After fishing around in her bag, Maria pulled out a string of beads attached to a medal that had scorpion drawn on it. It looked like a cheap price from an arcade or something. What are these? They are magic repelling charms. Their effect is very weak, but if you use them, you'll definitely be able to avoid Beatrice's curse all night long. I've heard that spiderwebs are also useful for repelling magic. That's probably because Beato is the incarnation of a butterfly. Wasn't it the evil spirit of Akujishima that were weak against that? Kumasawa-san knows a lot about that sort of thing. Which is an evil spirit? This is getting a bit interesting. Would you mind telling me about it in a bit more detail when we get to the guest house? Here are umbrellas for everyone. It's still raining very hard outside, so please take care. Shannon handed out the umbrellas she had brought. Everyone headed towards the exit. And then, when there were no one left, standing in front of the portrait, a gold butterfly appeared. It expanded out into a golden splash, becoming a human form. In the hall empty now, that the children had left, Beto stood alone and silent, looking up at her own portrait. Without a doubt, the figure depicted there was as like her as an image in a mirror. However, it felt as though its eyes and expression were just a little different from hers. From her perspective, while the person in this portrait was almost infinitely close to herself, it was just a surely different person entirely. Who are you? Please tell me what kind of person you are. Beto had already finished reading the fragment from Featherin's library, which showed the tales of all the games so far. However, the witch called Beatrice, who had been depicting them, had been so vastly different from her. At the very end, it had looked as though the witches and Butler had connected just a little bit as rivals, but for the most part, Beatrice had just bullied Butler in nearly all of the tales. Even though this was about her, she had no idea what Beatrice had tormented Butler so much when he had supposedly been born for Butler's sake. What she had learned from Featherin's library was that the former Beato was a completely different person who defies understanding. What happened to you? I am an egg of you. A chick. Your wings should have existed for father's sake. Just when did you have one of those torn off and end up so drastically different? She had listened to the conversation Butler and the other had just been having. Beatrice can't handle scorpion charms? Beatrice can't deal with spiderwebs? She wouldn't have wanted to touch either of those by choice, but she wasn't thought anything terrible would happen if she did. Was being perfectly fine when around those proof that she wasn't Beatrice? Even though this involved her own self, she didn't understand at all. So she quietly gazed into her own eyes on the portrait. Till I thought the truth had behind those eyes. Beato slowly approached the portrait, and then she lightly touched it. When she did, it felt as though the portrait rippled slightly. Yes, this is a doorway to the long path that will lead her to the Golden Witch Beatrice. C'est Mario 64 ou quoi là? Elle va rentrer dans le tableau là. Beato felt a bit dizzy. She lost her balance, feeling as though the wall was twisting around her. Then when she couldn't tell which way was up or down, she was swallowed downwards. With a soft watery sound, Beato was sucked into the portrait. C'est vraiment Mario 64. world inside the portrait was pitch black. However, there was nothing unsettling about it. The comfortable darkness, like when you put your head under the covers in bed at night. Beto realized this was a world inside herself. So despite the darkness, she felt a warm embrace. As long as she asked for nothing, this world would ask nothing of her. But she couldn't remain like this. She didn't want to spend eternity inside of the darkness of this world. Yes, I need to hatch out of my egg. This darkness is the shell surrounding the gold butterfly called Beatrice. I will be born for Father's sake. I will be born to live for Father's sake and to serve him. She took her goal, her reason for being born, and put it in words. As if in response to those words, the seeds in the shell began to melt away. Sparks appeared in the darkness and a brilliant light enveloped the world. And so Beatrice was born. Huh? Oh, there I stood, along with another me. For a second, I saw that the me in front of me was the real Beatrice, the one I wanted to be more like. However, she was looking back at me with the same bewildered eyes, so I realized that wasn't quite it. Putain, c'est Béatrice Schoolgirl. Mes cheveux détachés. That's right. I wasn't the only one born from that egg. She was also born. Is she my twin? No, it feels a bit different. Why can't put it? Most of us are lacking something and immature. Yes, most of us are chicks, but we are also fragments of the true Beatrice. It felt I thought we could become the real Beatrice together. No one explained this to us. However, we naturally understood. I decided to talk to this other me. Unless I get to know her and become one with her, I won't be able to become the Beatrice Father desires. In other words, the thing that Father wants from me, and was so heartbroken to find missing, must be something that she has. Hello? The Beatrice with her hair down looked at me dubiously several times, then finally spoke. Why is your face the same as my own? The true Beatrice also spoke in that manner. It looks like she really does have something that I lack. Well, I don't know why either. I'm the Golden Witch Beatrice. And you are? I'm also Beatrice. I was born from the purpose of serving Ushurmia Butler. I'm the Golden Witch and the ruler of Rook and Jima's Knights. I know for sure Ushurmia Butler, but I have trouble imagining why I should have to serve a brat like him. Donc elle c'est la Béatrice qui ressuscite. Et elle c'est Béatrice méta, mais qui comprend pas trop tout ce qui se passe quoi. De Elder Sister. Ok, c'est exactement la même qui avait donné à Shannon le truc pour George, là, dans le chapitre 2 ou 3. Ok. Together we can become the true Beatrice. So the person in front of me does have the part that make her a witch, which I lack. She did not possess the mission to live for Ushirma Butler's sake. She has what I do not, and I'm sure I have something she does not. Must be two and yet one single person. I think we're something like twins. No, that is not so. You are my little sister. I have been here since long before you were born. Huh? Is that so? I was born later. So does that mean the mission to live for Ushirma Butler's sake was born later on? However, I don't think my whole existence is something quite as faint and intangible as a mission. I have enough of personality to think and act as I'm doing now. The Witch Beto and I are separate people, which both of us possessing something the other lacks. In that sense, maybe it's fitting for us to call ourselves sisters, as she says. I want to know about you. I also wish to know. I understand that you are so mean. Why is that you speak that way, and why must you serve Butler? Once you were to understand this, it seems both of us will remain immature. I want to become a complete Beatrice. Until you were born, I was complete. However, now that you have appeared, I believe that accepting you is my face. I also wish to know about you. The Witch Beto's tone was very slightly arrogant, which fitted her self-proclaimed statue as the older sister. However, since both realized that we were the same person, there was no need for her to be a bully. She probably realized that after meeting me, her current form was no longer her real self. Where are we? Is this the Hall of a Mansion? Oh, Beto gasped. Her portrait wasn't there. Didn't that mean that he was at least 2 years in the past? Precisely, this is the whole of the Ushiomiya mansion. The night is my time, and the nighttime mansion is mine as well. That fool Kinzo is so desperate to catch me or revive me. How truly ironic. Here I am openly ruling the mansion every night. So what do you do here? I have lost my body, and due to the effect of that 8-foot shrine, I have no magical energy. However, my power is growing bit by bit every day. I can't wait to eventually undergo a spectacular resurrection and have a good laugh at Kinzo. I can't wait to tell him that I've succeeded in escaping from his cage. Simply put, Amigo's killing time by wandering about night after night, with nothing to look forward to besides teaching that old man a lesson. May I join you? Of course, after all you are a part of me. How could the left then refuse the company of the right? Why should I refuse? I shall be pleased to have you, my little sister, the new Beatrice. Thank you very much. Oni-sama. Somewhat embarrassing name. But it is not bad. Come, let's go. Let's take a walk through the nighttime mansion. Let me introduce you to my boring everyday life. Beatrice's changes form into 2 gold butterflies, fitting silently into the depths of the shadowy mansion. C'est beau. Ça va être un chapitre de fou, je pense. Hein. Je pense que je vais m'arrêter là. C'était une très bonne session d'entrée au chapitre 6. Hop là. YouTube, on se retrouve demain pour la suite de l'épisode 6. Ce sera une petite session d'après-midi, parce que je suis pas là le soir. Et après, on envoie quoi. Alors là, ma termine, je suis complètement... En plus, c'est même pas Battler, c'est l'air d'être un espèce de légume Battler, comme était Béatrice. Donc, je sais pas. Et surtout, la question, c'est qui est la personne dans la chambre, là, qui se fait mordre les mains, là. Parce que Battler, il est dans le salon. Moi, j'ai cru que c'était Battler au début. Mais en fait, c'est pas Battler. On dirait que c'est lui, mais c'est peut-être un autre Battler. Sauf que c'est le Battler méta qui est dans le salon et c'est le Battler pièce qui est dans la chambre. Je sais pas. Enfin bref, on verra bien. En tout cas, bisous YouTube, à demain pour la suite.